You are a guy who has been shot through the liver, addicted to all sorts of drugs, homeless on Skid Row, going to LA County Jail.
If I get involved, it gets violent. Like, yo, what you looking at? He came up, we started arguing. We're at a school bus stop. So it was technically a school shooting. You know, growing up, my mom and dad sold dope, did dope. They sold a lot of meth and they did a lot of meth. You've got your wife and 4 kids in Skid Row? And I went to a sober living over by USC. They kicked me out because they found me knocked out on the toilet, butt naked with a pookie.
Bang. What episode number is this? I didn't even think about that. Is it? Oh my God. Triple digits. Wow, dude. Oh yeah, I have 102 written down. I'm stupid. Never mind. Okay. Wow, 102. Holy cow.
When did you start this?
Almost 2-year anniversary in like 2 weeks, actually.
What made you start it?
I mean, I wanted to do a podcast for a while. I was already doing YouTube shit before. And I had been appearing on other people's podcasts a lot. And I was like, this shit is fun, dude.
It is.
Like,
bro.
I don't know.
This is the only second one I've done.
Like, I love being in your seat, dude. I love getting invited.
Bro.
I say yes almost every time.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Who have you been on? Anybody that like?
No Jumper.
Okay.
I went on Dope as YOLO's a bunch. There was a show called I used to do some work on. I went on a show called PK.
We need to get you on Theo, bro. That would be a dope.
More the merrier, dude.
My sponsor's good friends with him.
More the merrier.
I was friends with the producer he used to have. I just try not to. I have no problem networking.
Yep.
You know, because all the exposure I can get is essentially going to be able to help me help more people and help my family. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I have no problem selling myself, none of that stuff. But I also try to be genuine with my friendships and not create them to be advantageous. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not becoming friends with you so that I can take advantage of your network. You know what I mean? So if I would love to be on Theo's podcast. I love Theo. That dude's hilarious.
Yeah, his shit is like super viral lately too. I see that guy on my feed every day, I feel like.
Oh yeah. And plus, I mean, he'll have on he has on Trump, but then he has on some school lunch lady from New Jersey in a trash.
I like the lunch lady episodes. I want more of that shit.
That part, yeah, for sure.
I would love to see a full podcast hosted by someone very famous that's just straight up like normal people. The whole thing.
That part. Before me and my daughter, I was going to do the Keep Your Crown On podcast, and I still might. And I was telling my daughter that we're going to probably have a daughter and her dad be in Keep Your Crown On production. And I just wanted to interview whoever that, you know, it could be a Brandon Novak, or it could be some random person that just got out of prison and made a lot of changes in their life. Like highlighting people that are keeping their crown on. Like, I'm a big Office fan, right?
Yep.
And so Jim, John Krasinski, he had it didn't last long, but there for a while, he was doing these YouTube shows where it was just like good news. He was just highlighting good news. You know what I mean?
That.
So yeah, it's fire.
Is Jim your favorite Office character?
Yep.
Nice.
1000%.
Nice. What's your run me a top 3
Office episodes?
Characters.
Oh,
episodes too. I mean,
well, I mean, I'm going to do a top 3, not including Michael and Dwight.
Fair.
It's only fair.
Yeah.
Because it's understandable why those two are everybody's favorite.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to include Pam.
Okay.
Because
of the Jim bias, or what?
Because if I love Jim and Jim loves Pam,
then you have to.
By extension, I love Pam.
It would be disrespectful not
to.
Bro,
I'd be serious about The Office. Like,
I can tell.
Like, every time I get a Wi-Fi router, it's some type of Office name in it. Like,
really?
Right now, it's been Troop Farms. It's been Dunder Mifflin. If I could do life over, I would name my 4 kids after Office characters. It would be Michael, Dwight, Jim, and Pam. But other than those two, Creed.
Okay.
Would be number 2.
Creed's great. I love Creed.
His real name is Creed Bratton.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
And then number 3.
Guy was not acting.
No, number 3 would be Aaron.
Okay.
I think Aaron is probably top 3 to 5 of most naturally funny people in The Office.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think she's also the hottest that's ever been on The Office.
I like Pam personally.
I like Pam too.
Generic, you know.
And everybody and Jan was hot. Jan was hot.
They did a good job casting on that show. They casted some beautiful women on The Office.
What's his name? Phyllis's husband, Vance Refrigeration.
Yes.
Vance, he's from my hometown.
Really?
Yeah, so he does little stuff Office-esque around the city.
He does like pop-ups and stuff?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
They had in Chicago an entire remake of the set that you can go visit.
Really?
And I was there at the wrong time.
Oh,
yeah.
You got to be tripping that you missed that.
I was, bro. And I'm always like, man, when are they going to do this again?
I feel like surely they'd bring that out here.
That's what I would think. You know what I mean? I don't understand why they don't have it at like Universal, because Universal's NBC, right?
Yeah.
Then they do the race for the cure in Scranton every year
Really?
for the rabies run.
Yeah.
the
They
different
actually do
benefits.
one
Yeah.
like in honor.
You
of
really
that?
know The Office, bro. I love this.
I haven't seen it in years, to be fair, but when I was in high school, it had like just come out and it was all the rage, and I watched it front to back.
Wait, how old are you?
I'm 27.
You weren't in high school when it just came out.
When did it come out?
2005.
Oh, never mind. I could have sworn it came out like way more recently.
Nah,
The
it's
Office
just-
is that old?
It is the
Wait, really?
Yes, listen.
No, I'm looking this up. What?
And I'm gonna say this.
I trust you, but
I'm very biased, obviously.
what?
2005, man. Playing me on my Office.
That show aged like wine, bro. It feels way newer than that.
I've been wanting to go to those like Office, like how they have trivia contests at bars.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, man, I want one for The Office, bro.
Dude, you could easily find a bar that has one of those.
Yeah.
I feel like no way.
But I feel like, I'll be honest with you, I think that people that have been doing that for a while, they probably could tell you like, here's a 15-second clip. What season, what episode was this?
Yep.
And I might be 30% from the floor from that, but I don't know if I could do that the whole way through.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Scott's Tots, I could hardly ever watch it.
Really?
It's just
Bro, that's like one of my favorite episodes.
it's one of the best. And that and Dinner Party are the most cringiest episodes. My favorite episode is Fire Safety.
Oh.
When Dwight puts that face on.
Yeah.
That's my shit.
I just always remember Michael's really shitty TV on the wall at the dinner party.
Oh, bro, the plasma TV.
Yeah.
You killed my plasma. You killed it.
Yeah, Scott's Tots is my personal favorite episode.
Bro,
though.
I have seen every episode probably 10 times.
Really?
It's something I will forever. It's the greatest depression medicine ever. It is the best thing for background noise. I sometimes watch it when I drive. I was driving Uber as an Uber driver, and I would ask passengers, I'm like, you tripping if we play some of The Office? They're like, go ahead. And I don't really have to pay attention to it because I know it like the back of my hand.
I would love that if I was a passenger.
Bro, I had 4.98 stars. Shoot.
I mean, dude, playing Office for people, I bet.
I rapped for people. I did poetry for people. I motivated people. I kept snacks and drinks in my car. I let people smoke in the car.
Damn.
They couldn't smoke weed, but because I was sober.
Yeah.
But at the time I wasn't sober. Actually, I was smoking weed, so I didn't care. Get it in.
Why do you think you said you had a 4.98? Why do you think you got dinged for the 0.02?
I could imagine maybe somebody didn't like the smell of smoke. Even though are we recording?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know.
We've been rolling the whole time.
Oh, okay, for sure. Hello. There were times that I can imagine people smelled smoke maybe. But then also there were people getting in the car because I kept the Armor All for the Smoke X. I would keep it. So after every time I would put a cigarette out, I'd blow in the car, and I always had cologne in the car. And you know what I mean? And so a lot of times people would get in and would be like, I didn't even know you smoked in here.
It smells wonderful.
And then somebody said I had a poor attitude, which is not true at all.
Yeah, I don't get that vibe.
Not at all. Even on my bad days, I know how to be professional. And then I had a friend who me and her had stopped talking. And she gets in the car and we're riding around, and she asked me to turn my music down. For sure, no problem. And so I do. She gets out and immediately get dinged with a 1 star. And so, man, I called Uber immediately. I was like, man, y'all can't take that off? And they're like, no. I'm like, man, this is what happened. They're like, all right. I was like, man, block her for real. Block her for life. Like, I don't ever want to.
Wait, so you took an Uber ride and it just happened to be like an old friend of yours?
Yeah. Who we had just recently stopped talking because things got a little awkward. And
Just got a shitty roll of the dice that day.
Yeah, but that's life. Life be happening. Life on life's terms.
You know what's really interesting to me as we're having this conversation is like we're talking about The Office and just shooting the shit, and it almost made me forget about everything I'd learned about you over the past few days when I was doing my research, getting ready for this show.
That part.
And I watched your episode on Matt Cox's show, which is great. You guys should go watch it at home. And I checked out all the links you sent me. I was Googling your name and all that shit, trying to pull everything up. And you have one of the bumpiest pasts I think I've ever heard.
Really?
Like, you have so many ups and downs, and most people that I spoke, or have spoken to on this show, they'll have like, oh, here's where my life was bad, and then I recovered, and now I'm on this path. But you have a million points where it's like, hey, here's how I was doing well, here's where I wasn't, and then I started doing well again, and then I wasn't. And I think that makes your story really unique because you have multiple points of like, shit, I'm just not looking good right now.
Well, I mean, I feel that, something we say in the treatment field is like recovery is not linear, and life isn't linear neither. If anything, it's topographical. You know what I mean? It looks like a literal mountainscape. And I'm from West Virginia. I'm a mountaineer. So maybe that little quinky dink right there, But yeah, for sure.
Now, correct me at any point here if I'm wrong as I say these things, but you are a guy who many might not assume this hearing our conversation, just joking around, but you are a guy who has been shot through the liver. You are a guy who has been addicted to all sorts of drugs, meth, heroin, I've heard you talk about getting a Percocet script. You also are a guy who got a full ride to college, despite all those things.
Before those things.
Yes. It was after you got shot, but before the hard drugs, correct?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make sure I got my mental timeline right. And that in itself is just a very small part of your story.
Yeah.
Because you've done a lot more than that. You were talking earlier about being homeless on Skid Row, going to LA County Jail.
Yeah.
And somehow, despite all of that, we're sitting together talking about The Office today.
Hey, that part.
That's pretty magical, isn't it?
And I think despite all of that, I still have a great appreciation for life, such as like The Office. Like, I didn't even like The Office at first.
Yeah.
Couldn't stand it. And I didn't. But then one day I was bored. And I'm like, bro, I like Steve Carell. Watched him in the Evan Almighty. And so I tell all people that say the same thing about not liking The Office. And I'm like, was season 1 a little cringy? And they're like, yeah. I'm like,
yeah, season 1 was.
Just get through season 1.
That's every show.
Yeah, it's of course, and probably biased towards The Office. I think it's got the greatest cult following of all time. Even though ChatGPT said it can't technically be a cult following because it's too big of a show. My daughter calls ChatGPT Charlie, Gary, Pat, and Terry. But yeah, I didn't even like it at first. But it's just dope that I can enjoy those things.
Now, for everyone watching at home who hasn't done the research that I've done, they haven't watched your Matt Cox episode, they haven't followed you, which they should at the end of this, how would you introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Jimmy the Poet. I'm from the west side of Charleston, West Virginia. I'm a very proud mountaineer. I grew up in a place where there wasn't a whole lot going on. I am extremely proud to be where I'm from, to the point that we both know it's a little sunny outside today, which is a little bit refreshing because we've been cold out here.
Dude, it was horrible this past week.
Yeah, that part. Well, I kind of like it. I'm a bigger dude. I like the cold. I miss the snow. And so, I purposely brought this jacket to wear on set because of how proud I am to be from West Virginia.
Hell yeah.
But, growing up, my mom and dad sold dope, did dope, a lot of domestic violence. And my mom was phenomenal, you know what I mean? And as you get older and you become a parent and you get to make your own mistakes, you're a little bit more willing to look past the mistakes of your parents. Is that going to catch?
Yeah, would you mind just silencing that if you can?
So, yeah, growing up, my mom and dad, they did the best with what they had. Maybe they didn't. Who knows? Because I know there's been a lot of times in my life where I've used the excuse that, man, I'm doing the best that I can. And so growing up, I have a little brother. And, growing up, my mom and dad sold dope, did dope. They sold a lot of meth and they did a lot of meth. And my friends always would be like, yo, you got it so good because we did all the Nintendo 64, Sega, Nintendo. When the PS2 came out, then that was like, I think, Christmas of 2020, and then the Xbox and the GameCube dropped in like January or February of 2021. We had it. We were at Myrtle Beach, Virginia Beach, all of these things. But little did they know that there was a cost to a lot of that. And so I go by Jimmy the Poet for a reason. And I was telling you before that I like to use poetry to share my story. So I'll share a poem that kind of exemplifies what that was like. Now, the name of my elementary school is Tiskawal. It's a Native American name. I don't know what it means.
Okay.
All right. Let me tell you a story. without having to flex imagination, stretching a fabrication about death and impurity and its complete saturation, about ruined birthdays, holidays, and vacations. But what you know about pitting cups to the wall? Just to listen for a minute. And when I did it, thank God that beach ball busted her fall. So you know we ran in just to see him stomping her. But you think it mattered much that 7 and 8 we was screaming to get off of her? It didn't, because if we get in it, then we get it. And the results, they was monstrous. The outcome was out we go, irrelevant of weather's below, sleeping underneath cars, porches, and gazebos. Yep, over there at Wall. If my friends would have caught me, that alone could have socially risked it all. So after morning, the next morning, you know I'm chilling with my people, but inside it's hard to smile today when I know my mama's getting beat half to death less than a mile away, and there's nothing I could do to change it. The stressor was amazing. Maybe someone should have asked us, but I was scared to death that the questions would never make it until one of us made it to the casket. And even though we was wishing for these whippings to stop, that wasn't the worst of it. You see, his mind game shaped my mind frame into thinking no one could ever love me. Insecurity's been blurring me. Inside, outside, thought every part of me was ugly. So therefore, the word violent, it's not a verb. It's not just the action of someone hitting you. In all actuality, the term violence occasionally is referred to as physical. But in domestic violence, it usually takes someone dying for them to realize that the excuses were pitiful. They didn't recognize the signs, must have been used to the abuse. I guess they were construction because destruction was a ritual. We've become so accepted to drama and adapted to pain that bombs of deception and depression keep attacking every map to the brain. So with all said, the next time that I'm walking in my section, if I see a man put his hands on a woman, if no one else mans up, I'm man enough to address them. Strategies of warfare.
I feel like I got to give a round of applause for that.
I appreciate it,
That
man.
was awesome. That's the first time I've ever been given a poem on the show.
Really?
Yeah.
It has been, man, if I didn't have the ability to articulate words in that fashion or freestyle a lot. I don't freestyle in front of others. It's a private thing for me. But there's no place that I'm more comfortable than on a stage full of hundreds of people and I'm doing poetry. And I'll get to when that was happening in my life. But yeah, you know, so I want to say the first thing I was ever addicted to, my sponsor uses this and I love it, is the first thing I was ever really addicted to is what you think about me. I always cared very, very much about getting approval from other people. And I'm a firm believer that when you are raised to believe you're not enough, my mother never did that, but my father did. But when you're raised to believe that you're not enough, you're going to find a group of people to convince you that you are.
Yep.
And you're going to find whether it's gang banging or promiscuity or dope dealing, or if you come from a different side of the tracks, it might be test scores and financial literacy. And I work in treatment. And I don't let my clients trauma shame each other.
Yep.
Like, I don't care if you a middle-aged white woman from Bel Air that just drank White Claws or if you smoke crack in Compton.
Yep.
You're all in treatment
together. A lot of people do that in treatment.
For sure.
A lot
and
of people.
It's like, yo, my hood's more dangerous. And it's like, that's nothing to brag about. You know what I mean? Unless you're a rapper, I guess, which I don't listen to that type of rap anyway. But nonetheless, man, I was just constantly in trouble in school. To this day, my affinity for shock value gets me in a lot of trouble. Like my boss 2 weeks ago, she's like, come in the office. And I'm like, what I do now?
Oh boy.
She's like, how many times do we have to have this conversation? I'm like, what? She's like, why do you keep convincing clients that you're from where they're from? Because what'll happen is we'll get a new client come in. And I'm like, yo, where you from? They're like, man, I'm from Tulsa. I'm like, me too. Where'd you go to high school? You'd be surprised the information people will just offer on up.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, so did I. Graduated in 07. And I just throw a name out there. Then you know Jessica or Bill? Everybody does. I'm like, nah, I'm playing. I'm from West Virginia. And everybody laughs. But then I've seen the faces of some people that are like, it's not funny. You know what I mean? And she's like, you can't get people who are not used to being vulnerable, who are not used to being open-minded, open, and then you snatch the rug from them. And as much as I would love to maintain my own logic and say, nah, they're too sensitive. If I've learned anything, I'm 38. If I've learned to do anything in life, it's evolve. You know what I mean? To constantly evolve my concepts of truth, to constantly be open-minded that I might not be seeing things clearly.
Yep.
And that's one of the reasons why, like, my ex-wife, the mother of my 4 children, You'll never hear me use the word baby mother. She's not my baby mama. She's the mother of my 4 children.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody that I'm really close to, if me and her are going through it, I will complain about her to them, but I'll never complain about her to random people because there's been times that I thought I was right. And I come to find out later I'm not. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it happens all the time.
For sure.
So how early in your childhood would you say the trauma really began?
Definitely the domestic violence, you know what I mean?
And that was really early on, like you were
as
a little
early as
kid?
I can remember.
Wow.
As early as I can remember. I have some early childhood memories. The earliest 2 childhood memories I have was there was a place in my city called Canal City. It's a part of Charleston. It's on the eastern side of Charleston. And we had a Canal Mall, which is no longer even around. And I remember this had to be like 91.
Okay.
I just remember being on my aunt's shoulders and the Sesame Street characters were there. Bert and Ernie was there. And I may only have that memory because of the videos I saw. I'm not sure. And another one of my earliest memories when we lived in I grew up on this place called Madison Street. And we lived on one part of Madison Street, then moved to another. And one part of Madison Street, I came back from the doctor one time, and I just remember my mom had a bunch of hanging plants. But other than that, the earliest memories I have is like learning to walk on eggshells. Like when I put in that poem, Pitting Cups Against the Wall, like I literally used to keep a cup in my room because I had to learn at a very young age how to pick my battles. Because by the time I was 12, I've been over 200 pounds. I was a county wrestling champion.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't a chump, you know what I mean? And so you're not putting your hands on my mother. But I had to learn, okay, they're just arguing. You can't get involved.
Yeah.
Because if I get involved, it gets violent.
Yeah.
And now we're sleeping on the streets. And we've slept at my elementary school. We've slept on the porch. We've slept on the porches of neighbors in snow. Not like in the snow, but while it was snowing. And sleeping at your elementary school, that's why I said over at the gazebo, even there at Tiskawal, could have risked it all. Socially could have risked it all because there were a plethora of times that we were on the gazebo, which is like a big wooden structure.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really sleep because my mom and my brother are there. I have to protect them. And then also, I do not want my friends showing up at 7 o'clock in the morning, dog. So,
and you're asleep with your family in the gazebo. That's embarrassing.
That part, man. I remember, you know, as I became an adult and made the mistakes I made, I remember this guy walked up to my mom while we were walking on the streets at night, and he was like, "You busy? Or you ready tonight?" And I didn't realize until later what he meant by that. Like I think he thought my mom was a prostitute. You know what I mean? So you get to be on the streets, you get to learn the language. And so, yeah, the trauma started a long time ago.
Did your mom ever try to escape that abuse?
I'm sure she made plans in her head, you know, and
it's a lot easier said than done.
It's a lot easier said than done. There's a lot of fear involved. I mean, you know, at one point she's also on the dope, and at another point she has her own unprocessed trauma she's never dealt with from her childhood.
Yep.
And so I think fear was there, you know, the addiction was there. And I have such a big heart for domestic violence survivors because I know it's not, of course we can all on the outside looking in be like, yo, you should have just left.
Yeah.
And it's not that that's not a true statement, but it's like I mentioned to you earlier, like we got black and we have white. And as much as we need right and wrong in this world and a clear delineation between the two, we all live in the gray.
Yep.
We operate in the gray. You know what I mean? And
100%.
so at the end of the day, it's just a lot easier to make judgments on people's situations from the outside.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure she wanted to. You know what I mean? And so
Probably thought about it every day.
she probably thought about it every day when it was bad. And she might have thought about it on days that it was good because it wasn't all bad. You know what I mean? It just so happens to be that the bad was frequent enough and bad enough that it seemed like it was all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like he loved us. I'm very affectionate with my children. Very. I love my children. You know, my boys, my daughter. I always tell them I love them. We never get off the phone without saying I love you. I have a 16, 17, 18, and a 12-year-old. I tell people I have 4.5 because their mom had another baby with someone else, and I've been around him since he was born. His father's in his life doing his thing, so I stay in my lane, but I feel like I love him so much, and I want him to know that I always claim him a little bit, you know, but he's not my son. But nonetheless, I'm even affectionate with him, because probably how affectionate who I came to find out was my stepdad was with me.
What do you mean by that? Came to find out
So
was my stepdad.
let's get there here in a second because
Okay.
there's a little
Jumping
bit more
ahead a little bit.
No,
Okay.
you're good. You're good. That's on me for bringing it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you intrigued me with that.
A little bit of
laid a hook
foreshadowing.
out for me.
Maybe I should write stories.
Yeah, you probably should by the sounds of
A
it.
little bit of foreshadowing. So I'm constantly getting suspended in school.
Uh-huh.
I'm always in trouble. In middle school, I had suspension averages like batters had batting averages. It was nothing ever crazy. I never really got into fights. I did fight my principal one time, but it was just always attention-seeking stuff.
Okay.
I was the class clown, and I just have historically, I know how to communicate, and I believe that I communicate very well, and so I know what people want to hear, and I was always just willing to be what people wanted to hear, and if it was to make you laugh, I'm game. If it was to make you angry, I'm game. One of my biggest sources of confidence, my mom took me outside one day when my dad was tripping. We used to have this phrase called, is he starting? That was like, is he tripping? And she brought me to the car. She said, listen, I don't know why you like to irritate people, because you do. But other than that, you have a phenomenal heart. And anybody that meets you and doesn't like you, it's probably their own problem. And as long as you're respectful and go about things the right way, you can say what you want to who you want, wherever you want. Because I was raised in a house where I wasn't allowed to have a voice.
Yeah.
So like big figures to me, Stone Cold Steve Austin. That was the first, man, I was such a diehard, like to the point where I didn't realize wrestling was fake. Well, parts of it are fake.
Yeah.
Those moves are real. They're real athletes. This is scripted.
Yeah.
When I think it was The Undertaker was about to bomb Stone Cold, I was in there, I was boo-hooing. But I got to vicariously live through this character because here's the guy that everybody relates to. He's flipping off his boss and he's fighting his boss. And I didn't have power in my house. You know what I mean? And when you're left with a lack of power, you're going to try to find power in other ways. So the power I had was to get laughs, to get jokes. You know, being seen as funny is very important to me. And so that was all through middle school, high school. And I'm in 10th grade. 9th grade was just the same as middle school. I didn't have no good grades. I've always been very smart. Yeah. My mom used to give me encyclopedias for my birthday. Like I am the type of kid. Yeah, I love it. I'm the type of kid that will sit here and read the dictionary. Really? I have dictionary or widget for dictionary.com on my phone at all times. Because how can you consider yourself a rapper or a poet, but you don't have vocabulary? Yep. And so 10th grade, I am at my school bus stop. Me and this kid, we're going to fight. And this is another reason why I think emotional intelligence is so important. I was you ever try to pitch a sock on, but you couldn't get it on? Maybe like you
yeah, like dress socks I usually struggle with. Yeah.
Okay. So this wasn't a dress sock, it was a regular sock. Okay. But nonetheless, it was a morning. Maybe I woke up late and was rushing. I don't know. But I was slamming the sock against the wall. I was so mad. I was like, get on my foot, dang on it. And I hit my hand. Coupled that with my mom and dad started arguing that morning. So I get to the bus stop and I see this kid that me and him do not like each other. And I see him walking down the street. And I ain't even going to hold you. In my head was like, I'm going to start something with him. Maybe today's the day we'll actually fight.
Yeah, you got all this pent up anger ready to go.
For sure. And so he's walking by. I was just like, yo, what you looking at? He came up. We started arguing. And he tried to get me to go around the corner.
That's a little weird.
It was. I wasn't finna do that. I'm glad I didn't. Because he pulls a gun out. And I'm not hard. I'm not a thug. I'm nothing like that. I've never been that.
How old are you at this point?
16.
Oh, my God.
I'm in 10th grade. We're at a school bus stop. So it was technically a school shooting, but it wasn't like a mass shooting, like the craziness that goes on in our country today. I don't know if I thought the gun was fake. I don't know. It was like an old cowboy revolver. I don't know what I thought. I just know I reacted. And I took my book bag off and was like, I know you didn't pull a gun. And I was going to swing, and he shot me. And they said he walked off, was like, what's up? I don't know what he said. But my best friend is sitting beside me. And I pull my shirt up and I'm like, am I shot? And he's like, no. And I'm like, nah, dog, something crazy. Am I shot? And so my brother takes off. You know, I said it on the Cox podcast. My best friend said he's never seen a human being run that fast. And all I know is I'm shot, bro. And, you know, I get to
You got to be bleeding, right? Like,
there was hardly any blood.
really?
I think because of how thick I am, it was also January 26, 2004. So it was the dead.
Oh, you got some
middle of winter.
layers and
Had some layers on. And it was a 22. It wasn't a large caliber bullet.
Yeah.
But it went through my liver. And I didn't know that gunshots to the liver were so dangerous. You know
It's a horrible place to get shot.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I get to the hospital, they talking about it might be a high-powered pellet. And I'm like, man, come on, dog. Like,
That was not a pellet, guys.
yeah, well, no, my mindset was like, yo, at least I can tell people I got shot. You feel me? Like, I'm trying to make, like, it's like I'm a little marketing exec. Like, I'm already thinking how we going to spin this. And so, but I'm shot. And, you know, when I was 12, 4 years prior to that, I started going to an after-school program. And Miss Kim and Miss Nina, I love you. I don't know if they can see me, but I love you.
Maybe they will see this.
That part. I'm going to show it to them.
There you go. Then I hope they will.
I don't know, man, they drastically changed the direction of my life. I was this kid that had anger, unbeknownst to me, didn't know what unprocessed trauma was. I didn't know what trauma was. And they started teaching me about Jesus. You know, and I was talking to somebody yesterday about like belief systems. And one thing I don't do when somebody doesn't believe the way I believe is I don't ridicule them, because who am I? Because we can all die tomorrow and find out everything we believe was a lie. And so I've got my dad at home, atheist, who beats my mother. Then I have these really kind people who are treating me better than I've ever been treated, who talk to me about Jesus.
Okay.
Which one looks more attractive?
Those really kind people.
That part. And so it started to stick to me a little bit. But it was after I got shot. I was in my room. I opened up the Bible and I read Romans chapter 12, verses 14 through 21. And it was like, you know, vengeance is the Lord's. Don't repay evil for evil. If your enemy's thirsty, give him something to drink. If at all possible, be at peace with all men. Instantaneously, I can't snap. That's one of the, like, I hate that.
I also can't snap.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
I also can't do
everybody
it.
makes fun of me. I'm like,
me too.
I'll do that. But that's probably why I hate snaps at Paul. Like, man, clap for me. Don't snap for me.
Can you whistle?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I can't whistle either, dude. I always get shit for that one.
But I you know, people that can like put their fingers like that and whistle, blows my mind.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that shit.
But yeah, so I in my room that night had, in a lot of I'm not going to mention, as I mentioned to you before, I'm not going to mention the specific fellowship that I'm a part of when it comes to recovery, out of respect for our traditions. But it is 12-step recovery. And it talks about the need for a spiritual experience that results into a psychic change.
Okay.
Like a real changing of the mind. And so, man, after I read that, it was like instantaneously my heart went from anger and sadness to empathy and sympathy. I started praying for the kid that shot me. I started crying for him. I started really thinking like, man, I know what goes on in my life. What was happening in his life? And that was like the beginning stages of the developing of who I am now, to where I'm very, very interested in the human experience. I love people. I love people. And instead of getting offended, which of course we're humans, I do get offended sometimes, I would rather find out what led you to that decision.
Yeah.
And so, man, I go to school the next day after reading that verse, man, and I'm apologizing to teachers. I'm apologizing to kids. I started freestyling when I was 11. That's the first time so to get into the substances, I started, you know, my mom and dad will let us take sips of their beer sometime, but I was like 9 or 11. I don't remember which age. I started smoking weed.
Okay.
And bro, it was on and popping. I've smoked out of apples. I've smoked out of elbow joints. I've smoked out of a lot of things. But the moment I started smoking, I started rapping. I started freestyling. And
you think it brought out your creativity?
Certainly. And that's why when I stopped using drugs and alcohol, it took a while for that creativity to come back.
Yep.
Because in my opinion, like freestyling, for example, under the influence of either whatever it is, it's like working out on steroids. It really is. And so fast forward back to after I got shot, you know, from like 11 to 16, I was smoking weed a lot. You know what I mean? Drank a couple times, never did anything else. I may have maybe had tried a pill once. I don't remember. But after that experience in my room, man, I just started falling deeply in love with the Lord. I stopped smoking. I stopped drinking.
Mm-hmm.
The after school program had gave me a little bit of, they said, here's this kid that's acting out. Let's give him some authority. And I started working with the younger kids. So I started recognizing leadership abilities. And I got in front of my whole high school at 16 and did a like 6-minute poem about Jesus. And people just started looking like, yo, you went from this to this, like what's going on? And I couldn't explain it,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't explain that there was a change happening on the inside of me to where my desires were leaving. And 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, whoever be in Christ is a new creation, the old is gone, all is new. And so some people grew up in church. I didn't. I
Yep.
wasn't forced to go. I wasn't not allowed to go. So I didn't start believing the way I believe because of that. I started believing in Christ because I had an actual experience with him that I could not explain, making it supernatural. And it was just changing me from the inside out. I stopped listening to music that had cussing in it. Like I just didn't have a desire for these things anymore. And so I also became the youth team leader for an organization called Chainbreakers. So
Okay.
we were traveling the state I was doing poetry and public speaking. I was on TV, radio, churches, juvenile centers, but nothing was changing at home. I would get on stage in Boone County High School. I remember that was the one that probably had 1,000 students. I'm on stage in front of 1,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, I get a standing ovation. People are walking up to me, a couple of them in tears, like, man, that changed my life. And I go home and my dad's beating my mom. And then he got out of jail, the boy that shot me, and we would go talk to kids together. We would go talk to kids about forgiveness and bullying and all these
Really?
things. Yeah. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Do you remember like the first time after you had gotten shot, the first time you reached out to the one who shot you, like how that interaction went?
That after that day in my room,
Uh-huh.
I came to school the next day. His cousin had been in Spanish with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had reached out to her. And of course, the family was kind of like, her mom called me.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, when I see her mom loves me to death.
Mm-hmm.
And I get a phone call randomly from the boy that shot me one day. And he's just like, what's up, bro? And I'm like, because me and him were friends at one time.
Mm-hmm.
We went into 7th grade. We were friends. But it was the first time I ever really stood up against anybody. He wanted to borrow my Walkman or something in the bathroom. And I was just like, nah. And from that day forward, we just didn't like each other.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, he called me and he's like, what's up? And I'm like, I just want to apologize. And he's like, for what? And I'm like, he's like, I shot you. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But like, I started stuff that day. I would start stuff with you. And speaking of the ups and the downs, speaking of the foreshadowing, I feel like God has always shown these moments of foreshadowing in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get into the step work and a lot of it is like, going through your resentments or writing down a list of the people you've harmed, going to make amends to those people, the need for a spiritual experience. And before I was ever on hard drugs, I kind of went through all of those in a preliminary way at 16, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, man, I'm all over the state of West Virginia. I'm in conferences with grown men. And yeah, I had got a full ride to college for the work that I did. The board of directors was like, yo, we really like what you're doing. We're going to put some money together wherever you want to go. And I just wanted to go to Bible college in Columbus. And they didn't like that because these are all like secular, like lawyers and doctors.
Yeah.
Like, we need you to do something like concrete. But the owner of the organization was like, nah, if you say you want to go to Bible college, we're sending him to Bible college. Yeah.
And that's got to be, it sounds like to me at least, like the first time in your life where you maybe found purpose.
Man, I love that you bring that up because when I was in prison, I read a book called Start With Why by Simon Sinek.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I bring up to my clients all the time. You know how rich people, they feel or they're told that they're privileged because of the means that they have?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't grow up privileged in that way. But I do feel that I've been privileged since I've been 16 because since I've been 16, I've understood my purpose. My purpose has always been to use this voice to help God's people in its simplest form.
Mm-hmm.
Like, definitely my goal is like paid motivational speaking. That would be dope. But I'm willing to do it for free.
Yeah.
Like, I'm willing to do all of this for free. And I think that when you can find something you're willing to do for free, that's what your purpose is. That's probably, and especially if you're gifted in it, because there's a difference between talents and gifts.
Mm-hmm.
A talent you can develop. I think gifts you're born with.
100%.
Yeah, but yeah, the purpose, man, just to watch, even today, I teach groups full time in a facility up here in the valley, and I also do it, independent contract with other places. To be able to see the lights come on in someone's eyes when you give them some information or when you articulate something to them in a way that though others have tried, it didn't work.
Mhm.
And to just watch them grow from that, bro, it is the most amazing thing in the world. Like, people have asked me how important it is for me to be able to do poetry and rap and
Mhm.
speak to people. And I'm like, I would give up sex for the rest of my life for it.
Damn. I don't know about all that. I mean, hey, now.
I'm dead serious because it's
Wow.
the most extreme thing I can think of. I've already populated the earth 4 times. I'm good. Like, of course, I love it. You know what I mean? But it's like, if I had to pick between being on stage in front of 1,000 people and the
Mhm.
feeling that comes from that versus sex, I'm like, I'm easily taking the first one. Or if I had to pick motivating people or helping people, I'm
Mhm.
easily taking that, bro. I'm human. I ain't perfect. So there's times I'm very selfish and self-centered and I just want to go home and play Arc Raiders. But it's just like,
Dude,
nah,
everyone's playing Arc Raiders
I just
now.
got started.
Okay.
Shout out to Arc Raiders. But my homie got me on it. And I want to say that I really don't play it that often because I don't want to get addicted to it. I've been a gamer all my life.
Okay.
I mean, we're talking about the Vectrix, which was released in the 80s. It was this screen that you put the cartridges on the side and the paddle came out.
Mhm.
Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega, N64, PS2, Xbox, GameCube, PS3, 4, 360, all of these, bro. I've been a gamer all my life.
Yep.
I'm a PS5 gamer, so I love it. I will play video games for the rest of my life. So, future wife, if you hear that and you have a problem with that, just know that I'm not for you. And if you don't like The Office, I'm not for you neither. I'm dead serious. We have to be able to watch The Office together.
I'm curious, bit off topic, but I need to hear your take on this. What would you say is the best game console of all time? I feel like this is a very hard question.
I'm gonna give you 3.
Okay. I like that.
The Nintendo 64,
Great answer.
PlayStation 2, Xbox 360.
Nice.
Now, the caveat to that is obviously like the PS5 is better than the PS2. I'm not going to go to want to play a PS2, and obviously the Series X. But I say because Nintendo 64, that was like one of the first big jumps in like graphics and 3D and what you can do. Not 3D R Vision, but 3D playing world.
Super Mario 64 was insane when it came out.
Bro, I just watched somebody beat that game in under 7 minutes on
Yeah.
a speed run. Ridiculous.
They've been optimizing that shit for 25, 30 years now.
He's like, it's like, man, I want to be an Olympic gold medalist. I want to be Mario in 5 minutes. That's crazy. But PS2, because of the same reason.
Yeah.
It was we could watch DVDs in it. I remember me and my homegirl, Shantae was walking on the tracks and we was just talking about the PS2. And that's when I heard, she was like, you can play DVDs. I was like, shut up. That's crazy. Because I don't know why we didn't, but we never had the PlayStation 1. But we did get the PS2. And the 360, just because, I don't know, man. I just feel like at that time, I was an Xbox gamer. And I have always I preferred the PS2 over the Xbox. I preferred the Xbox 360 over the PS3.
Yeah.
And I preferred the Xbox One over the PS4. But it was when I got the PS5. No, I had a PS4 and I just wanted to play Spider-Man. And then I started to recognize, PlayStation has far superior games on it that are exclusives, like God of War, which I don't care for, but it's a classic.
Great, yeah.
Spider-Man, bro. Have you play? Do you game?
Yeah.
Have you played
I
Spider-Man?
play a lot.
too?
Yeah.
Bro.
I played Miles Morales. I played 1. I played 2.
I'm on the last mission for Spider-Man 2, fighting Venom for the second time.
Yeah. It's an incredible game.
Ghost of Tsushima.
That game's a banger.
It is my favorite game of all time.
Have you played the new one?
Yep,
Already
beat it. Yeah,
banger.
of course.
Banger game.
Splinter Cell was my original favorite series.
Okay.
I'm a big conspiracy theorist, so I like spy thrillers, CIA type stuff. But nonetheless, yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is so beautiful that you will be you will be riding your horse live action and it feels like it's a cutscene. You can go in stealthy, you can go in hardcore, you can do what you want with it. You got shurikens, kunai.
Yeah.
The idea that I could be riding on a horse full speed and then shoot somebody else off of a horse with a headshot from a bow and arrow from 50 yards away.
Yeah.
Mind blowing. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the ghost games too. That was like one of the only games where I feel like I found myself just like stopping what I was doing to take screenshots like every 5 seconds.
Bro, certainly. And I'll tell you what else was good. My first introduction to Assassin's Creed was
Mm,
Valhalla.
okay.
And Valhalla was fire. See, I didn't like none of these RPG, build your own weapon. You got to find the
Yeah.
daggone left leg of a frog in the back of a village. I
Yeah.
didn't like all that stuff. But Horizon Zero Dawn got me like opening my mind to those things because I still don't care for Dark Souls or Elder Scrolls or none of that stuff.
Oh, dude, Dark Souls will click one day.
What'd you say?
Dark Souls will click with you one day, bro.
Really?
I was the same way for years. I hated them because I was so shit. I was so bad. I would get owned at those games. And then I played Elden Ring when it came out, and I
Yeah,
played.
that's part of the Dark Souls.
Yeah, it's like the newest entry in the series. And it's like the most like beginner friendly one. Like if you ever want to try Dark Souls, you got to start with Elden Ring and then go back and play the other ones.
Oh wow! Because they say Dark Souls hard. I mean,
It
it's
is,
like,
dude. But it's so
it's part of the
satisfying.
lexicon now.
It's so like I'll remember the feeling when I beat Elden Ring probably for the rest of my life. It's probably what like having a child feels like.
Bro,
I've
there's
never done
this
that,
guy
so.
I watch on, I don't know his name. If I was, I'd shout you out. I just found him, but he was like ranking the hardest games from every system. I mean, all the way back to the Atari Jaguar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just almost all of them, other than Rayman won a couple times, Battletoads won, Donkey Kong won once, but all the other games were like these obscure games I personally had never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
And it just blew my mind, bro. Like, I love YouTube. I know that's another little random, but I even pay for it.
You have your premium?
It's like I can let go of Netflix, Hulu, all of those things can leave.
Yeah.
I consume a lot of YouTube. I mean, from instrumentals, I've got a 500 track playlist for R&B on there.
Mm-hmm.
Big into podcasts, you know, so like, yeah, I need my YouTube.
YouTube is the future, dude. I mean, it's already been proven at this point, but like, I don't see. I mean, even these streaming services are losing like viewership to just
even
YouTubers.
YouTube offers the same stuff almost.
Yeah.
You can pay to watch the movies that you can pay for on Prime and
Bro,
all
they
that.
have like every movie under the sun rentable on YouTube.
That part.
It's pretty crazy. But taking us back to where we were talking about how you had just gotten a full ride to college and you ended up going to a Bible school, correct?
I wanted to.
You wanted to.
So
okay.
when I was 18, I met the then future, now past wife.
Okay.
And we were young, bro. I fell in love and I got sprung and I just didn't want to leave her. And which was nobody's fault. It was just it's love, you know? And so I stayed locally. I went to a local college.
Oh.
And I am a BS master. And my ability to BS others pales in comparison to my ability to BS me.
Okay.
And so I will come up with a conclusion in my mind that makes so much sense. This is why I love that I have a core friend group of people that will keep it real with me, because I will believe my own BS so many times. To me, it's one of the scariest things. And so I convinced myself that, you know, I'm going to go to school for fashion design and create clothes for mothers that are struggling, kind of like what Stephen Marbury did for, you remember Stephen Barry's?
No.
There was a place that popped up in malls across the country where you can get a bunch of college team sports stuff for super cheap. And Stephon Marbury, I think that's his name, he played for the Knicks. He would release his shoe through them. And so everybody had a Stephen Barry's jacket. And so I'm like, you know, I'm going to do that. And the reason I say that about the BS is that wasn't my purpose. But so that I can stay, I didn't want to leave her. And I'm glad I didn't, because now we have 4 phenomenal children. You know
it sounds like you got a lot out of it.
1,000%. She's actually the only official relationship I've ever been in my adult life.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'll go into why a little bit later for sure. But to stick to the chronological part of it. So yeah, man, at 18, I also found out my dad wasn't my real dad. Going back to the unbeknownst to me, he was my stepfather. Man, when that happened, I felt like I had exited the Matrix.
How'd you learn that?
So all my life, my dad would be like, I'm not your real dad anyway. Gary Mullins is.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay.
You thought he was just maybe high and talking shit or something, or?
Yeah, for sure. But you hear that enough, and then you start to see the differences between you and your family. And like I said in the other podcast, not differences as I'm better, just differences. And so, yeah, man, I didn't know what to believe. And then my brother, who I love to death, would get our friends like to be like, you're adopted. You know what I mean? So it's like you get all these little things, and we were just being brothers. I love my brother to death. He's one of my best friends. But yeah, at 18, I find out, you know what I mean? So me and my mentor who created Chainbreakers, Andy Palmer, we were riding around together one day, and I was telling him my dad said that, and he looked at me, was like, oh, you're definitely Gary's son. I'm like, what? And when I finally saw a picture of him, met him in real life, yeah, I look just like him. A lot of people think I'm mixed or Hispanic.
And who is that? Because I don't know.
Who?
Gary.
That was my real dad.
But like you were like, I saw pictures of him. Like, is this like some famous figure?
No,
like,
not at all.
Okay, you said his name like he's like a celebrity or something. I was like, is this someone?
I met him before I saw pictures of him.
Okay,
but even now when I see the pictures, it's just like, you know, he has since passed.
Okay,
God rest his soul. But yeah, that was definitely my dad. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people think I'm mixed or think I'm Hispanic, right? And so at first, when I told my kid's mom that, yo, he's not my real dad, everybody was like, yeah, we're going to see what you really are now. And I'm just white, bro. My mom and dad are both white. My real mom and my real dad are both white. But I found out I had a little sister, you know what I mean? And that was dope. I love her to death. And so she was 17, I was 18. And so, but I didn't get to really have a relationship with her like that because my dad, I didn't realize he was on dope. You know what I mean? And I watched my mom pull a gun on a man when I was 8.
Wow.
And I didn't know who he was. I didn't even know my mom had a gun. But I never forgot about him. And so when I finally met him, I was like, and he says it wasn't him. You know, he was just like when I got older, man, and I got on my drugs and the things that I was doing, the BSing me, which made it easier for me to BS others. He was stuck in that same cycle. You know what I mean? Now, one thing I do is I think emotional intelligence is vital, which is just understanding your emotions and articulating them, understanding the emotions of others, and being able to regulate your own emotions.
Yep.
And when it comes to forgiveness, I created a group called the Forgiveness Practice in Prison, and I'll go into a little bit of that in a little bit, but I have every right to feel the way I feel, whether it's rational, whether it's not. A lot of times people are like, your feelings are valid. It's not because all of your feelings are logical and valid, but what is valid is your ability to have them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I've gone through all that. I've gone through the forgiveness from my mom and my dad and my real dad. I gave myself the right to feel, because when I found out at 18 that he wasn't my real dad, I was pissed, bro. Like, I was very angry because I'm like, bro, you mean I went through all this and didn't have to? And I was very angry with my mother. And for 12 years, I would have passed the lie detector test if you asked me if I forgave her, because I came up with all these great reasons to it first. Like, it wasn't my body. How can I be mad about a decision she made 18 years ago? And I knew the word of God. And I also just forgave the boy that shot me. How could I not forgive my own mother?
Yeah.
But it was prison 12 years later when I realized I didn't. And when we get to that part, I'll speak briefly on how I was able to forgive her. Because I'm also not, this isn't to bash my mother.
Yeah.
I love my mother. But nonetheless, yeah, man, I don't know what happened from there. I just know I started smoking again. I started drinking again. She was pregnant with my oldest son. I went through a heavy 211 phase where I was drinking to get drunk every day because I did not want to feel the way that I was feeling, bro. And started smoking weed heavy. My mom, she got busted in Detroit with some stuff I'm not going to go into detail about. And so I just, man, there was a lot going on at that time. And then we're getting pregnant back to back. My oldest 3 are 1 year apart from each other.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it was when my daughter, who drew this, by the way, my daughter created that painting.
Very nice.
For a project I've been working on called the Keep Your Crown On Project, teaching emotional intelligence and processing trauma through creative expression. When she had my daughter, that was the first time that I was like, okay, I'm gonna get it together. Like, I wanted to get it together before because I loved my children and I knew right from wrong. But unbeknownst to me, I had a disease called addiction and alcoholism that I no longer had control over. I didn't have control over. Once something got inside of me, I was no longer in control. But it was 2010. They wrote me a script of Percocet and for my wisdom teeth. And they weren't working, bro. I was popping them. I wasn't even trying to get high, but my homie was like, why don't you snort it? And I was like, nah, you tripping. I snorted it, and that wasn't the only pain that left. Now I ain't got to think about none of the stuff I've been through. I was about to say,
sure as hell that probably worked.
Man, I was on one, you feel me? And so it went from Percocets. Now I'm getting loaded every day. And I'm broke. Your boy couldn't keep a job for nothing. And
it's hard to with those circumstances.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah.
And so then it went we can talk about drugs in here, right?
Bro,
No, I know we can talk, but can we name the specific
you
ones?
can say literally anything on this show.
For
There's
sure.
nothing you can't say.
For sure. So it went from Perks to Roxy 30s, Blues. Unbeknownst to me at the time, my mom, her and my dad separated. When I say dad, I mean like my stepdad. And even to the day he died, I called him dad or daddy.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of good. And I never missed a meal. And he raised a son that did not belong to him.
Yeah.
Does that justify the other stuff? Of course not. So they didn't get back together romantically, but they got back together on business because she started dating a dude from Detroit. So she was making trips to Detroit.
Okay.
She's bringing in a lot of weed, then bringing in a lot of other stuff. And so by the time I get on Roxy 30s, I realize my mom and dad are bringing in, bro, $1,000 a week plus dog food, heroin, you know what I mean? China White. So I go to my brother's one day looking for a 30 and he didn't have none, but he had this chalky white substance. And I left and I cried because I'm like, man, that's my baby brother. I didn't know the whole time I've been doing synthetic heroin. That's why when these rappers that sip lean be like judging heroin users, it's like, bro, you're just as itchy as I am. Like you were doing opiates too.
They're all on fent.
Come on now.
They're all on fent now.
Yeah, that part. And so, but I was too dope sick, so I went back. Now I'm on heroin. And I believe in this thing called strategies of warfare. Like the enemy to me is Satan for sure, but also the disease of alcoholism. Because we'll say things in the rooms like your disease is lying to you. The enemy knew that at 17, you couldn't offer me meth. You couldn't even offer me weed. I was performing in front of thousands of people about the Lord and all this positive stuff.
Yep.
But it started, and I don't think that I do currently smoke cigarettes. It's a struggle I have.
Yeah.
It did start with Black and Milds when I got out of high school, then the weed. And I don't think Black and Milds is a gateway drug necessarily for everybody.
Yeah.
But for me, somebody who's constantly searching for a head change so that I don't have to feel the way that I'm feeling, for someone like me who is constantly searching for something that can take me out of myself, I'll take anything. And so it went from the weed, the drink, Perks, then harder drugs. Now I'm on heroin. So 2014, she's pregnant with my 4th child. And I had a man who I also call dad, who's like a spiritual leader. He was out here in LA starting a church or taking over a church. And I told him, I'm like, yeah, I'm on heroin. He's like, all right, what you gonna do? And I was like, maybe go to treatment. I remember the first time I called Teen Challenge and they were like, yeah, it's a year. Man, I got off the phone and cried because I'm like, man, I can't leave my kids for a year.
Yep.
What am I doing for them in the first place? And so I ended up, I was like, yo, can I come out there with you? He's like, look, you got a gift and maybe we get you out here, get you around the right people. He's like, but I don't know anything about treatment. So, or addiction. So maybe let's get you in a program out here. And he found somebody who, and I could just look over my life and see how God has ordered my steps through the good and the bad. You know, Romans 8:28 says all things work together for those who love God and are called according to his will. And so what we think that looks like a lot of the times is walking through mountaintops of rainbows and flowers. But more often, you got to go through a lot of those valleys too, you know? And so do I think it was God's perfect will for me to smoke meth? I don't. But do I think he utilized it for his purpose and for my betterment? I do. Because I ended up landing at a place called the Midnight Mission in Skid Row.
Okay.
On 6th and San Pedro. Now,
Heard of this place before?
I get to LA and I'm like, this is different. Everybody thinks I'm Hispanic. People are walking up to me speaking Spanish. I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They said I speak Telemundo Spanish. Jovecitos estas días con teléfono celular televisión. But I get to the Midnight Mission, bro, and I get connected to my 12-step home group, who I'm still connected with today. And yeah, man, I was supposed to be there for a year, and I was there for about 6 months when they wanted to drug test me. See, I thought heroin was my problem.
Okay.
I was still smoking weed. I was learning how to parachute pills. Started snorting Norcos. You know about parachuting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but I think I'm good, bro. I'm not on no heroin because heroin is my problem. What I've learned today is that if drugs and alcohol were my problem, then when I stop taking them, my problem should leave. But that very rarely works out for me because I am my problem. Drugs and alcohol have become a solution and they work until they no longer work. Like if I could smoke meth, take care of my kids, do God's will, make money, I would never stop. It's a phenomenal drug.
Yep.
I just don't have that skill set. And so I'm in this program for 6 months, but I'm not really learning nothing, bro. That's a big change. You make a change like going across the country to leave your family to get better. It kind of fools you into thinking just that action alone is going to be enough. You know what I mean?
Like you already did it. You just got to go through the motions now.
That part. You know what I mean? Go back in the year. Daddy's fixed. Hubby's fixed. We're in the game. Nah. And so at 6 months, they drug test me. I told them straight up I was dirty. And so they're like, look, you can dip or you can start over. And I'm like, man, like what am I going to tell them, bro? What am I going to tell my wife and kids? So I started over for about a month. And then I was like, nah, man, I'm out of here, dog. I got Catholic Charities to pay for a bus ticket home. And I went home. But my wife didn't know that I had to start over. I'm faking the funk.
So she thinks you're coming home a fresh man.
Yeah.
Recovered man.
She knows I'm coming home early.
Yep.
Part of her is like, I want you to finish. But the other part is like, I'm raising 4 kids by myself. I need you back here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she needed you.
And all I wanted to be was a father. That's all I ever wanted to be. You know, I painted this picture to my clients one day. I said, if you got me and MacGyver, you know who MacGyver is?
Yeah.
On a cliff. And you got mine and MacGyver's family on another cliff. And you had to bet on who would save their family first. I'm putting my money on MacGyver. Do you think he has any more desire to save his family than I do? Of course not. You know what he has, though? Are skills and tools. Because the only
MacGyver.
It's MacGyver. So the only difference, in my opinion, in those that cannot stay sober through difficult times, boredom being one of them, and the people that can are the skills and the tools that we learn to use and develop. Like, of course, like emotional intelligence and processing trauma, coping skills, but I think like spiritual principles are important. You know what I mean? Because what I really found out in my addiction is that I had a lack of power and I had a lack of principles.
Yep.
So now I'm back in West Virginia. How much time do we have? Are we good?
Dude, there's no time limit here.
Okay, for sure. So I get back to West Virginia, and bro, it's not even a day or two. I'm back snorting heroin. Ended up getting a job installing cable for some company. And this was like a decent job, bro, like $50K a year. I would get my own truck, all of this stuff.
Sounds like a great gig.
It was, but I was robbing every house that I was installing cable at.
Oh.
Bro, man, I stole a Movado. I stole a gun. I found 500 Norcos that were expired. Still sold them. Man.
Yeah, only expired according to the company, you know, hey.
Bro, I've got a amoxicillin right now that's probably a year old. And so the last job that I did with them, instead of waiting the last 20 minutes to steal the gun, I stole it within the first 10. And so this lady pulls a gun out when me and my trainer go back into the trailer. Like, yo, where's my gun at? And I'm like, I don't know nothing. But he and the cops got called. And I normally would have just shut my mouth. And I'd never been in trouble with the law before neither. So I was super nervous. But I grew up in the drug game, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though I was never a good drug dealer.
You made it that far into your life without getting in trouble with the law at all?
Yeah,
despite all the things you were doing?
I got arrested one time for driving on a suspended license.
Okay.
But
so some little shit.
Yeah, but even before then, there wasn't a lot that I did. Before I left West Virginia for California the first time, like I would go to Kroger and get Similac formula, and I would take it to the front and just tell them I needed to return it without my receipt. And I don't know why they would, but just a couple times, maybe 2 or 3, they gave me the money back.
Interesting.
I would steal, never got caught. I would also start breaking in the cars, never got caught. But still, it wasn't a whole bunch of stuff, because you got to realize, like, my mom and dad sold this stuff. So it's like a lot of the times I was getting loaded for free. And so fast forward, I steal this gun and the cops show up. I have never been the type of person, even in my addiction, to allow other people to take the fall for me. And so when the cop was talking about taking us both to jail, which I could have just shut my mouth. Now I would have just shut my mouth. But I just couldn't let him take the fall for me. So I was like, nah, I did it. This dude was a square, bro. He was
just your coworker.
Yeah, just a coworker. He just had a baby. He's about to go to the army. Just a square dude from the country that don't know nothing about nothing. And so I'm like, I can't let him get caught up from my mess. So I got charged with residential burglary, But when it comes to crime, they have to prove certain elements of the crime.
Yeah.
So they couldn't prove that I had prior intent and I had permission to be in the home. So they dropped it to a petty theft.
Wow.
And so
You lucked out.
I did. And that's soon over the span of my little criminal life proved to be a problem because I kept getting out of stuff and I have a mouthpiece on me. So I've talked myself out of a lot of stuff. And so I remember the first time I told my kids and wife that I had to go to California to get help. The second time, though, that was like, man, it crushed me. Because she just, just like a lot of people that have never been in addiction, they don't understand. All she knows is she's got 4 kids with this man who, when I met him, he was this rising, like, motivational speaker and poet. And this man's got a full ride to college and 4 babies in, he's leaving me to go across the country.
Yeah, he's got a full ride to rehab now.
Bro, that part. And so, yeah, man, I went back. And so I came back to Cali. Midnight Mission told me straight up, do not come back here. You're already across the country with your family. Get some help there. I ain't listening. I came back and it was like, yeah, we told you, dog. But Dave Prentice, who's the CEO now, I love him. I love him. I love him. He was then, I think, a case manager. He had set me up for the Salvation Army ARC in Long Beach. And he drove me all the way down there. And, he, prior to me leaving that program the first time, was like, listen, I think your disease is lying to you. And I see it all the time working in treatment. I've been working in treatment for 5 years where people will, I'm going to go home. My kids need me. And I'm going to hit these meetings. I'm going to go to these sober livings. And I said all the same stuff. And he was like, yeah, I think your disease is lying to you, bro. I think you're going to go home and get loaded and you might not even be alive anymore. And I'm here. I didn't die and I've never overdosed. I've never overdosed. Also, by the time fentanyl became a thing, I was off opiates. I was on the meth.
Thank God.
So, yeah, for sure. And so my first experience with fentanyl, my homie, my best friend at the time, he opened up a fentanyl patch and drank the gel. And I was just ate the gel. And he was like, you want some? I was like, nah, bro, you tripping.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, I'm good on that. So he takes me down to Salvation Army, ARC. I got kicked out after a month for peeing on a tree. It's like, bro, I'm from West Virginia. We pee on trees.
Yeah.
But it was because I was lazy and didn't want to go upstairs. I ended up going to the Union Rescue Mission on San Pedro and Skid Row, back to Skid Row. And you can get a free bed there. And, out here you can get food stamps and GR. And so every month a bed there costs $200. So they're like, look, we'll give you a bed the first month. Go get your GR until you find a job. That GR will cover your rent. And you're in a dorm, on a top bunk with like 200 people probably. I don't know how many people. But nonetheless, I was doing okay. I got a job in selling solar in Encino. I was actually no drugs. I didn't smoke. I didn't drink. I didn't use no drugs.
So you're back on your feet for a bit, it sounds like.
On the surface, I was going through the motions. But there was really no internal change. You know what I mean? The powerlessness over drugs and alcohol and the unmanageability. So it's not that I didn't have the power to get sober. I have gotten sober a couple times. It's without a connection to something greater than me. I don't have the power to sustain it. So it's like I could be a toaster from Macy's at $75, or I could be a toaster from Dollar General at $15 or Big Lots. If I don't plug into a source of power, I'm not toasting no bread. And the unmanageability, it's not that I don't have the ability to manage a budget or a household, which I don't have that neither when I'm getting loaded. Can barely do it now in sobriety. But it's emotional unmanageability. I've never been properly taught how to manage my emotions. So the minute something goes awry in my life, I go back to things that no longer serve me. And so even though I was sober at the time, I wasn't in recovery. To me, there's a difference. Just being sober is the absence of drugs and alcohol. Being in recovery is the absence of drugs and alcohol while also improving your life, like over a period of time, like improving your relationships, making right your wrongs, getting to a place where you're being of service to other people. So long story short, I'm at the Union Rescue Mission. Wife and kids wanted to come out. And I'm like, let's make it happen, Captain. So I set up something with the Dream Center in Echo Park. It's a big Christian organization. They had a family floor. I got us approved for it before they came. We just were waiting for a bed. But for whatever reason, she didn't want to wait. So she came out and we were all living at the Union Rescue Mission together. And though at the time I'm like, man, we're making better changes for our family. And these are the steps that even though they don't look fancy, we're going to have to take. It was insanity. Like, bro, you've got your wife and 4 kids in Skid Row.
Yeah, that's just not an environment for them.
It's not an environment for them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think God is so good that he covers us even through our mistakes and our poor choices. But it's like, bro, what is going on? The thinking, it was stinking thinking. It was my way of thinking. It always leads me to the silliest things. And so we ended up getting to the Dream Center. And, December 24th, 2014, backtrack a little bit. When I was back in West Virginia, I went to my dad to get some heroin because I was dope sick.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't have any. But he pulled out some meth. Was like, but I got this. And so that was the first time I did meth. When we got to the Dream Center, I relapsed on meth. And I'm smoking meth for, I don't know how long I was smoking meth before they caught me. But when they did catch me, they were like, yo, you can dip or you can go through our rehab program called Discipleship. And so I was like, of course, I'll go through Discipleship. Man, I got through the first 30 days. They let us go pick out some presents for our kids. By the time I got back to my bunk area with those presents and I'm laying down in my bed, it's just, I believe in a physical allergy and an obsession of the mind and a spiritual malady, those being the sources of my disease. And so also what we call the phenomenon of craving. And they call it a phenomenon because we really don't understand it. Like, how does a man who rebuilds his life after 2 years take one sip of alcohol, then tear it all back down again? So I'm sitting there in my bunk with these presents, and I just got the great idea to go to MacArthur Park and sell them and get some crystal. And so I did that. I took them down to MacArthur Park. I rushed out the back door, hoping nobody would see me or run after me. Took them down to MacArthur Park, probably got $30 for them. And I went to 5th and Main, and it was the first time I ever tried to get crystal or skante by myself. And they didn't give me that. I put it in the Pookie. It didn't melt. It fizzed up a little bit. My whole face went numb. And for 5 minutes, I felt like the greatest thing in the world. And then it hit me. You just smoked crack.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful I didn't do it the right way. Because, you listen to enough people that smoke crack, they talk about getting your bell rung. And maybe that song back in the 80s, ring my bell. That's probably what that means. But I never understood the crack high because for the same amount of physical quantity I can get crack, I will be high for 5 minutes, maybe 10 if it's good, which I've only ever done it once and I didn't even do it right. That same amount of mass in crystal will have you high for 3 days. And so, man, they called me. The Dream Center called the guy that ran it, ran that specific floor, called me that night and was like, why don't you just come back? All right, I'm coming back. And I tried to go through that program like 3 times and it just didn't work. So they ended up kicking me out. And I went to a sober living over by USC. They kicked me out because they found me knocked out on the toilet, butt naked with a Pookie.
And your wife is still sticking by your side through all this? Yes. That's insane.
It is. She deserves far more than I was ever able to give her. And she's not perfect, she had her flaws too. We had, it takes 2 to tango. It's not just my fault, but
no one's perfect.
Bro, 90% of the problems in that marriage were because of me. Yeah. 1,000%.
I mean, you're going to MacArthur Park to sell the kids presents for crack,
That part. Well,
say you're the problem.
Yeah, that part. That part. Where's Lush at? He's the mayor, right? Shout out to Lush, bro. I love you to death, bro. I've been watching you for 15 years on Battle Rap.
Yeah, Lush loves the skante.
He does. I'm a big battle rap nerd, so we could definitely talk about that too. But yeah, man, I remember looking at that building. This was 2015. It was probably December or January of 2016. And I just thought, man, I'm never going to be good for them and I'm never going to be good to them. The best thing I could do is exit their life. They're in a controlled environment. I would like to think, and I'm pretty sure I would never have just left them if we were like at the Union Rescue Mission or something like that. But the Dream Center is this microcosm of Christian folk that all support each other. And they do a lot. I mean, they have what they call Adopt-A-Block, where they have like 15 different neighborhoods in LA and like 120 different blocks within those 15 neighborhoods where they go out and feed and they go out and do programming. They have the discipleship program. And they do things with human trafficking. They have they have a veterans floor. They have discipleship for women. During the LA fires, they donated a lot of money and resources to people that lost their homes. So I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're good.
That carbonated water. I never thought I would like this stuff. It was when I tried keto one time. I was like, man, I'm going to have, because I'm a sucker for Diet Coke. That's my favorite of all time. I prefer Diet Coke over regular. But I was like, man, I tried blackberry bubbly. And I was like, oh, I like this. And over time, it's grown on me. I love this stuff now. But nonetheless.
I feel like sparkling water doesn't hydrate me. Like I drink it and I'm still thirsty.
I think there's something about the carbonation that probably is a dehydrating factor. I'm not sure. We should ask Charlie, Gary, Pat, and Terry what he thinks. ChatGPT.
I was sitting there like, who the f is that?
You're going to get a letter from OpenAI talking about you can't be renaming our robots.
Yeah, we're about to get a cease and desist next
Bro,
week.
have you seen these Waymos?
Yes, I've ridden in them.
Have you?
I got drunk in the back of one.
I would never.
Why?
I don't know, bro. I trust Will Smith, bro.
Wait, so you'll talk to ChatGPT and take its input, but you won't get in the car that's driven by AI?
I will talk to ChatGPT. I'm not letting him drive me around.
Oh, nah. I'm the opposite. I don't want to talk to that motherfucker, but I need a chauffeur.
I can dig it, bro. Look, I don't even like if say all of us was like, yo, let's go to Magic Mountain.
Okay.
I'm driving my car. I never ride in it. That's not like a religious thing. Like I have to stick to it. But for the most part, I'm driving my car. I will meet you there or you can ride with me. Number one reason is I want to listen to what I want to listen to on the radio. And I will not be subjected to trash music. When I was an Uber driver, people would be like, can I pick a song? And I would tell them, you can, but I'm going to tell you now, if it's trash, I'm turning it off. And I gave this ride to these hood dudes from Detroit. And I guess he thought I was playing. He was like, man, play. I'm not going to say the name. He was like, man, play this. And I was like, all right, but I'm, blah, 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 blah. Man, 30 seconds. I mean, get that trash out of here. He was like, man, you serious? I'm like, listen to that. And I was like, he's like, what you listen to, man? Threw on Good Kid, Mad City. Like, this is what I listen to. And so, yeah, man, going back. Oh, yeah, the Waymo real quick. Yeah, I saw the video of a guy that it wouldn't let out the car. He was just going circles in a parking lot.
Yep.
And, Will Smith told me not to trust robots, so I ain't messing
You're
with
taking his
robots.
word for that.
Taking his word for that. Hey, look, he tried to tell him, dog, and now they're taking over.
Yep.
But nonetheless, Will Smith's my favorite actor.
Yep.
He's the only actor to have 8 consecutive films gross over $100 million in the opening weekend.
Really?
Yeah, which I don't, it's crazy because I love Kendrick. Like, he's my favorite artist of all time. And I love the fact that he's got all these Grammys. They're great, but to me, those are just extras. I hate when people be like, well, this artist sold more or this artist is like more popping. I don't care
It's not
about
always
none of
about
that.
that.
I care about how they make me feel when I listen to it. And so it's just, I don't know, Will Smith, bro, it's just dope. You know what I mean? Grew up on The Fresh Prince, so.
Yeah, I love I Am Legend. That's a good movie.
That part. And so, oh yeah, I Am Legend's fire. 7 Pounds is probably my favorite movie he did, and people hate on The Wild Wild West. I don't know why they hate on that movie.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, bro, I think it's him and I don't know, but it's dope. Men in Black's dope. Will Smith's dope.
Men in Black is a banger.
Yeah,
That guy's got a catalog.
Slapped that dude, bro. And I was like, man, that's like he probably shouldn't have did it. Me, the professional adult, is like, you shouldn't have did that. Me, the other side is like, some people don't learn until they get popped in the mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, I look at that building, bro, and I just was like, the best thing I could do is exit the life, so I hit the streets. I'm in Skid Row. I'm in MacArthur Park. All throughout MacArthur Park. I'm in
And you're just
Pomona.
sleeping outdoors at this point?
I never really slept, to be honest with you. When you're smoking
guess,
a
yeah.
lot of crystal, you're not really sleeping. I had
Forgot you're on the meth at this point.
oh
so
yeah,
that
bro.
explains it,
So I had people's houses I could go to. I met a plethora of different people, bro. I'm in the cold-blooded part is where my phone is off. I would show you the pictures of me. It was crazy because I did the Matthew Cox podcast, and bro, people in the comments. So Reed was on there first, and I read the comments, and I started getting really angry because I'm like, and I wanted to defend him, And so I told myself, when my podcast drops, I'm not even reading the comments. But of course I did. Bro, you know how often I go back and select newest just to see if there's any more comments? But I don't get offended because it's just like, bro, if they're even real, like they don't know what they're talking about. Like people in the pod, because I'm 400 pounds. When I was smoking meth, I was 190 pounds.
Wow.
And so people in the comments is like, his fat ass ain't jumping over no fences. Bro, that was funny. That was funny. But nonetheless, yeah, man, I start losing a lot of weight. And I show people my pictures on meth. I did not look like I was on drugs. I actually looked good. And it's mind-boggling. But that's what it does. I was not looking good. I mean, I was, don't get me wrong, on the surface. And if I'd have spent more time on there, probably now, which is 10 years later, I would not have been looking anything. Yeah. But, you know, I was always dressing in like North Face, stuff I stole from cars. I showered, you know, I would find unique ways to shower. In Skid Row, they have SRO housing, you know what I mean? And so right there on a wall in Maple across from the police department, they have community showers. So sometimes I would sneak in. Sometimes I knew people that would let me come in and take a shower. I had a homegirl. I slept at her place. I did sleep in some tents sometimes, but I never slept on the sidewalk. I never panhandled. None of those things. I was always on a bike and I was always on the go. And I started getting into crime. And then I really started getting into crime. I never did nothing crazy, but it started just stealing from stores. And
you got to get the meth somehow.
And so I remember the first time the homie was like, yo, do you know about the drill bit deal at Home Depot? And I was like, nah. He was like, because they have a Home Depot on MacArthur Park.
Okay.
And so we're probably on like 5th and San Pedro. And we're chopping it up. And he's like, look, man, you got ID? I was like, I don't. He was like, do you care to take something from the store? I'm like, I don't. He's like, you go in there, get drill bits. They got these big ones for like $90. You bring it out. I'll take it in. We'll get a gift card, which will be $100 gift card. We got to sell it for $50. We'll split the 50. By the time we get done doing that, I'm like, bro, from the moment we started this plan to the moment money hit my hand was like 2.5 hours. For $25, it's like, once you break that down, that's $12 an hour. But nonetheless, I was like, this isn't worth it to me. So I started finding.
When you're an addict, that's not shit.
No.
You're smoking 12 an hour.
Yeah. I started finding receipts. So I would get receipts. And it was crazy because all the things I'm about to tell you, nobody taught me. The Home Depot thing someone did. But these are just things I started learning to develop myself. And it's nothing crazy. I was never no mastermind, bro. I was a tweaker.
And you're fiending.
Yeah, that's it. And so, but I would find receipts, bro, and I would go in the store, get the item, sometimes take it out, sometimes just take it straight to the register like I did with the Similac, and they would just give me the money back. And, bro, I started, like, taking pictures of it so that I'm not in the store with a receipt. I started learning, like, DD's and Ross are the same company, and I think 4011 are the beginning of their SKU numbers for all of their items.
I love hearing this part because I used to do all the same retail theft shit.
Yeah.
All the same shit.
The used to be a Staples on Santa Monica in Vermont, and I had some wire clippers. I went in there one day, and you know these magnetic boxes and these spider loxes. They're those released by magnets. And so I cut the thing real quick. Me cutting it cut the alarm on. I dipped out, and so I have that now, but. You had to pit that, which I never did. I ended up not going back into a store with it because it made you hot. Because you go into a store with that in it, any store, and the alarms go off. But if you were to pit it in like a tinfoil bag, it wouldn't. It would block the magnet or whatever it does, the science. But tweaker scientists. But nonetheless, yeah, man. So then I started like pitting them in books to flatten them out. Found out that Home Depot, you can add the receipt to the account. I went to MacArthur Park, got a fake ID. And you can buy some real hardcore fake IDs. I know Lush was talking about like the what's them joints you need to go out of country? Passports.
Yeah.
You can get some. I didn't know about none of that. I just knew about the fake IDs, and they were like, yo, do you want one that scans? That's like X amount of money. I was like, I don't need all that. So I paid cheaper price. And I did it for Fiasco Baldwin, which is an alter ego. And I created.
I love that name.
I got Fiasco Baldwin, Johnny Jr. Face, Lightbulb Lenny, Forrest Fire Foster, Catfish Kelly, Barnabas Williams, and I think that's it.
Barnabas Williams is actually my favorite. I like that one.
It's probably my favorite. And so, yeah, I created an account on Home Depot Pro for Fiasco's handies. It was supposed to be like a handyman. Little did I realize how crazy that sounds at the time. And so I've got this fake ID in case I need it, never really needed it. And I create a Home Depot Pro account. And I learned quickly that if you just play the part and have confidence, nobody's really questioning you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would go in the stores. I learned other things like don't be in there lollygagging. And the good thing about the app is you upload the receipt to the app. Home Depot will also give you cash back for debit purchases. And so now I got the app, and I don't even got to be in there looking around for the product because it tells me where to go.
Yep.
Walmart had an app too. I made like $400 in one day at a Walmart in Southgate.
Damn.
Yeah, bro. There were times that I found a bundle of receipts that this Mexican dude dropped off in a trash can. He probably was a contractor.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like $7,000 worth of purchases.
Oh, you're cashing out.
Well, you can't use the credits.
Yeah.
And I went through all of them. There were ones for $5. I throw those away. But the ones that were like 10, 15, 20 plus, and the ones that were debit. And in a month and a half, I made $3,000.
Oh my God.
That's the most I ever did with my criminal world. You know what I mean? I was dead that. Stolen cars. I used to break in. And so remember how we talked about strategies of warfare with the drugs?
Yep.
It was also for me like that with crime. So I started off doing shoplifting. Then I graduated to receipts. Then I started breaking in the cars at night. I've never broken a window, you know. I still had a little bit of principles when I was using, like, I didn't want to take advantage of poor people.
Yeah.
I've never, like, ever in my life have taken advantage of a female. I've never put my hands on a female. I've never even lied to a female for sex or any of those things. But nonetheless, I had other principles, like if me and you are on the streets and I'm going to like try to steal something from you, if we have a heart to heart, especially if God gets brought up, I just no longer can take advantage of you. And so when I started breaking into cars, I quickly learned that you look like an idiot when your butt is hanging out and you're just leaning in. So I would get in the car, shut the door, put the seat back, wait 30 seconds, slowly rise up, look around. Oh, we in here. And I got 2 minutes now. And it's not like I really time myself, but, you know, bam, bam, middle console. Learn to check in between the seats in the console. I found $300 there one time.
Ooh.
Broke into a Mercedes. I don't even like using the word break into because the door was open. You left it open for me. But in Atlanta, I heard they will leave their doors unlocked, and they will also roll down their windows. Ooh. Because car theft is so heavy there that they would rather you go through their car than to break their window. You know what I mean? And so I broke into a car one time, a Benz or something, at a building that was an apartment building, but it also had a 24-hour fitness connected to it. Found $1,000 in an envelope. And so when I found that, I was gone. I was like, I'm done. I don't need to stick around and get greedy. And so I'm doing these things. First time I ever stole a car, I'm in Santa Monica. And I would wait for these high-end lofts to open their gate. And I would just ride in like I belong. I was not dirty. I would have North Face or things that I stole from cars, or, you know, I would look okay. And so I just pretend like I belong, bro. Nobody really ever questioned it. And so I'm sitting in this car one time, and I open up the glove compartment, and there's some keys, and I blurp it. And it's to another. So this Nissan Murano was white. And there's a black one, identical, just different colors right beside it. And it blurped it. And so I go into that one, and the keys for the white one were in the black one too. And so I'm sitting there like, heart start beating. Am I going to do it? I'm taking it. So I took the car. And so I drive it all the way down to Skid Row. The homie took the low jack off. And that car had the title in it too.
Oh, no.
Bro, yeah. And so I told myself, just don't let the cops get behind you. Part of me was going to take that car back to West Virginia, sign it over to myself, and just start a new life with it. But I was tweaking. And so about a week later, cops get behind me, and they blurt me, which is turn their lights on. And that's like 7 cops, 3 or 4 cop cars. There's a helicopter overhead in downtown LA, right there on like, I don't know, maybe like 4th and Broadway or something. I don't know. And I'm not a thug. I'm not running, bro. There were times if I had a bike and we were in downtown with all those one-way streets,
oh yeah,
I would run.
Yeah,
I never had
to get away in that scenario.
Yeah, but I would do that. Would sometimes hope for that because I was like a little bit of an adrenaline junkie. I would be trying to race cars because I was always on a bike. I'd get on a bike, go from downtown to Santa Monica all the time and just hit spots in between. But yeah, they were like, get out the car, interlace your fingers, telling us, you know, to do what they do. I gave up. And the moment the cop walks up to me, I'm just like, man, I don't know what none of this is about. Sir, you're in a stolen car. No, it's not, dog. You're tripping. Sir, this car is reported stolen. I was like, man, this is my home. You know what? Just take me to jail. And he's like, no, what was you going to say? I'm like, look, bro, this is my homie's car. I was on my way to get blunts. Blunts are legal. But in my mind, I'm like, that's not something you just want to tell the cops. So I'm like trying to throw him off a little bit. And he's like, well, if that's the case, just tell us who your homie is. I was like, come on, dog. You know I'm not about to do that. Just take me to jail. Take me to jail. And the next day, my public defender comes up while we're all in the court pod. Because if you get arrested by LAPD, you go to a substation. If you get arrested by a sheriff, you go straight to county. Oh. If you get arrested by LAPD, when you go to court, if they're going to hold you, then you go to county. Public defender was like, they dropped the charges. And I'm like, what?
You luck out again.
I luck out again. And I'm like, I had the keys, so I don't think they can get you for GTA if you have the keys. I think the best they can get you for is joyriding or riding without the owner's consent. And so, yeah, I'm out again, bro. I'm never facing consequences to my actions. I remember like a chump. This was a straight chump move. The first time I spent any time in LA County more than a day, and I realized I was there, I went up to the cop crying. Straight BITCH move, bro. And I went up to him crying like, man, my kids, they got a Christmas event. I got to get to this. He's like, I'm still thinking I could talk my stuff out, right? 30 minutes later, I get released. It had nothing to do with what I told the cop. My number just got kicked. That's how it is. I don't know if you ever been to LA County?
No.
Yeah. That's how you ever been to jail?
I was very similar to you, where I didn't look like I was doing the things I did, and I got away with like pretty much everything.
Okay, for sure. So
I was on felony probation when I was 17. That's pretty much it.
Okay, for sure. So you go to LA County Jail, it's so overpopulated, overcrowded. They have like for a lack of better terms, I'm not going to call it an algorithm. I don't know exactly how it works, but I think that's fitting for this. The algorithm just popped my number up. It was just like, whatever they figure out. And so, but in my mind, it's correlated to my mouthpiece. And so, yeah, bro, I'm still in cars. I'm, talking to the kids a little bit. Remember the first time they saw me, they were like, why are you so small, bro? And I was like, I've been working out.
Been grinding in the gym.
Working out.
And your wife's still keeping in touch with you during all this too?
Trying to when they can get a hold of me, I had a little girlfriend in Skid Row. And I loved her to death. Not in love with her, but I loved her to death. She was the first person that ever really got me into art. She was a fire artist. And I don't mean like she's fire because I'm high and I'm deluded. I mean, she was really a good artist. And I would sit there and I would freestyle. She would beatbox and be painting, and I would just freestyle. We would just get loaded, and it was just, I loved it. And so, but she would get mad because on specific days, the Dream Center would come to Skid Row to do Adopt a Block on Saturdays. And they would come on Tuesdays. So anytime that happened, I would leave the area. And I would never hold hands with her in public or any of those type of things. And she's like, I don't understand. I'm like, look, I got a wife and 4 kids. Like, I don't want to be seen doing that, and I don't want to hurt them. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, yeah, man, 2015, 2016, 2017, let me tell their story real quick. So I told this on the other podcast. Part of it's unbelievable, to be honest with you, but it's one of the greatest things I've ever done in my life, in my opinion. So remember how I told you I would go into places that I didn't belong by just pretending like I did?
Yes.
I used to call it my Jason Bourne moment, but now looking back, Jason Bourne's probably not the appropriate character. Maybe like my, what was that movie? Now You See Me, Now You Don't? Yeah, maybe I'm like one of those type moments.
Yeah.
So somebody lets me into a building in Skid Row Housing and Trust apartment complex. I go in just to use the bathroom, but they left. So I go to check the door of the office. I find keys. Go talk to the homie down the street. He's like, yo, I think those are master keys to the buildings. So
shit.
I'm over, and I generally would go to like Culver City, Santa Monica, Beverly Hills. These are the places I would go break into stuff because I didn't want to steal from poor people, which I was one of. I'm checking buildings over at this on like San Pedro and Washington or something. And I go into the back of this building, and the gate comes up. So I just go in, and this guy was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm coming to work. He's like, what do you do here? I was like, I work security. And he's like, no, you don't, because I work security. I'm like, well, you better talk to Frank then. I don't know who Frank is, but I'm like, you better talk to Frank. And he's like, who is Frank? And I'm like, bro, if you don't know who Frank is, you got bigger problems than I do. And so I also had this thing that the moment I know that you know, the gig is up. I'm not going to disrespect your intelligence. So I'm like, look, bro, I'll call Frank, bro. I'll be back. So I go to leave. And dude was like, yo, I'm from Compton. I know you tripping. You know what I mean? You're like, you trying to hit me with the okie doke. So something told me to hide in the cut and then follow him, which I did. Stupid. So we go around, we get into front of 7-Eleven, and I come up to his window, and I'm chopping it up with him. And I'm like this close from just spilling the beans and being like, yo, bro, I'm tripping out here. You know what I mean? I apologize. Cops pull up. I didn't give him a chance to breathe. I walk up to them, and I'm like, can I help you? Something told me to act with authority. I'm like, can I help you? And they're like, yeah, you can. Somebody is checking buildings that matches your description. And what's going on? And I'm like, yeah, you probably did hear that. I work for RTC, round the clock security. I work for a group of older men that don't like domestic violence. And we have contracts to make sure certain women are hidden and safe. I don't know where I just came off the top of my head with it, bro.
Just talking shit.
Just talking stuff. And so they asked him, and I'm pretty sure he said something along the lines of, he just asked me for a cigarette. He didn't bust me out, though, and he could have. He could have told him what just happened 10 minutes prior. They asked me for ID. I gave them a card that had no picture on it. And they're like, what's the name? And I'm like, some Smushamash. And they're like, what's the name? I'm like, you know I don't know the name. Why do you keep asking? Bro, they told him he can leave. They start taking my book bag off. They go in the book bag. There's IDs. There's a social security card. There's keys. And I am now being put in handcuffs. And I'm like, man, I don't know what none of this is about. And they're like, sir, you lied to us about your identity. Bro, I was like, I don't even know if you're really LAPD. Bro, because at the moment, it was like this algorithm went off to spit out this answer. Like I was thinking, and it was just like instantly, of all the cop movies I saw where people have pretended to be cops to go find somebody. And so I did that. They're putting me in the back of the car. By this time, I give them my real name. And they're like looking for my name in like 3 separate databases. I don't know what they were. But I had never been in trouble in LA yet. Bro, sergeant shows up. They're like in the front of the car by 7-Eleven talking, looking at all the stuff I have. Sergeant shows up. Something told me to act with a little less authority. He shows up. I give him the same spiel, but I'm calling him boss. I'm like, look, boss. Brah. He goes, talks to them, comes back, talks to me. He's like, look, one of them's new. Give him like 5 minutes and I'm going to have you out of here. I couldn't tell if he was lying or not, bro, but you couldn't tell me nothing after that. He leaves. They come back, open the door. They're like, look, you can take you and all this fake stuff and get out of here, or we can take you downtown and find out who you really are. And I'm like, I got 2 more routes to finish. But you know what? Even though Frank will have me out in a couple hours, it's not worth going through processing. I'll leave. I got on my bike. They gave me all my stuff back. I started driving slow. Once they were out, I started riding slow. Once they were out of view, I took off.
You did it again.
And so all of these little things, bro, and you know, the comments, bro, the videos, and bro, I'm going to have some man, I'm like, that didn't happen. It did. And so, because at this point in my life, if I'm going to stay sober, I have to be honest. But I see how unbelievable that story is. But it's just these little things, bro. And so 2017, I get hit with my first residential burglary and my first strike. And this was about a month after my wife and kids went back home to West Virginia.
Okay. Oh, so that whole time leading up, they were still like out here
They
in
were
LA?
at the Dream Center from October of 2015 to February of 2017.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she was doing good, man. She started going to school. The kids were in a school. They were, She had got HUD. She was about to go out to Pomona and get an apartment. And she was just trying to figure it out, bro. While her husband is homeless, smoking Scante, hitting the Pookie in tents, you know what I mean? And so they go home. I get hit with my first residential burglary and a strike. I fight that case for 5 months in LA County. They opened up a program called ODR, not to be confused with Officer Dining Room, but Office of Diversion and Reentry, in an attempt to limit the overpopulation. and to give people some outs, you know, for help.
Mm-hmm.
It was a mental health program. I was living at the Coronado Inn in MacArthur Park. It was like literally 2 blocks up from the park. All I had to do was get an ID and a source of income, and I would have gotten an apartment for the rest of my life. And all I had to do was pay 30%. But I spent the whole 5 months in LA County thinking, you know what? I'm going to get out. I'm going to smoke weed. I'm not going to touch no meth, and I'm not going to touch stuff that don't belong to me. I got out, smoked a blunt, and I had a Pookie in my mouth by the end of the night. Because I, sir, do not have control the moment things go in me that affect me from the neck up. I can't smoke weed. I can't drink a Bud Light. I can't do any of those things. It always leads me back to meth.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm smoking crystal now again. And I was in that program for 5 months. All it did was give me a place to store my stolen stuff. And 5 months later, I get hit with another residential burglary and another strike. And so I'm back in LA County and I'm trying to fight this case. And the judge was just like, nah, homie, you're tripping. We've done given you all the chances we can give you. And I was supposed to do 4 years. So residential burglary is PC 459. That's the penal code. It carries 2, 4, and 6, meaning the amount of time you do if you get caught. Because this was my second time and I had a strike, even though I didn't do prison the first time. The first time they gave me a program, that was still a felony. So this time I'm supposed to do 4 years. Prop 57 had got passed, and it said, if you do your base term without any problems, we'll drop off the enhancement. It's funny being in county jail when new laws are getting out because everybody becomes a jailhouse lawyer. Everybody's like, nah, this is what it means. Nah, this is what it means. You really don't find out what it means until you get to prison. So everybody thought the enhancements were automatically already dropped off. All I'm going to do is 2 years, and I'll do the percentage of that. No, I had to do the whole 2 years. And so it was the bus ride from LA County Jail to state prison that I finally was like, you're either a loser that's never going to get it together or there's some hope for you. And I chose the latter. I started learning how to play chess, which I still play every day. I love chess.
Chess is so fun.
You play?
No, I'm not good. I wouldn't call myself a good player, but when I was in rehab, I played a lot.
Yeah,
so.
I love it, bro. And, you know, I started reading a gang of books. It's the first time in my life I really read like that. Ready Player One, The Maze Runner, like a whole bunch of stuff. And so, yeah, I get to prison, bro, and it was a low-level 1. California prison is based off racial politics and gangbanging for the most part. I'm white, but, you know, I ran with the blacks. But it was like, it's a difference between being in Men's Central jail, politic, and running fades, which I did not do. I would purposely go to Twin Towers because Twin Towers is mental health. We would wear yellows with blue trim. GP would wear blue. And so, but when we would go to court, I would go in the black pod because all of my kids are mixed and all my friends growing up are black. So it's like, I'm not black, obviously, but I'm not going to switch who I've been hanging out with. I remember the first time I walked into a black pod. So if you go to jail in LA County from LAPD substation, you're in your regular clothes, minus your shoestrings, everybody's together. But if you go to jail from LA County, that's when they segregate you racially. And so I'm in a court pod and we're going back and forth from the courtroom. And I look and I'm like, man, that's just Woods and homies, which is whites and Mexicans. And then I see a bunch of brothers going down to another pod. And I asked the cop, I'm like, yo, where they going? He's like, that's the black pod. I was like, man, send me down there. I go in, you could have heard a pin drop. I mean, it's loud. Blah, 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 blah. Silence. And they're like, yo, you a homie? Mexican? I was like, nah. It's like, what are you? I'm like, I'm white. It's like, why are you here? And I was like, yo, all my kids are mixed. And if me and my son was in prison together and a race riot popped off, who you think I'm fighting for? So I might as well be here now. Okay, then. And so there is a couple people that have problems with that, of course. And so long story short, man, by the time I made it to prison, they had this thing called 50-50 yards, which they GP and what they call S&Y, sensitive needs yard. And I landed on a 50-50 yard and I wasn't tripping because I don't gang bang. I don't have no reputation. So nobody was tripping, bro. There was like, everybody was short timing it. You had a couple lifers that made their way from level 4 over 20 years down to level 1. Nobody was really tripping, bro. So I was able to really focus on myself. I passed my first 2 college courses in prison. I played a gang of chess, read a gang of books, got connected with the Christians on the yard. And it was the first time in my life that I was able to focus on me. So I have a big heart for clients who are away from their children, right?
Yep.
It's something I developed, and I love coming up with these like analogies and metaphors and all this stuff.
Yep.
But I ask clients all the time, I'm like, imagine your life is 100-mile stretch of road, and your number one job is to pass out water to people. Now, on this road, we'll call your friends, your family, your children. These are the people that you're meant to help. You get about 10 miles in, and you're passing out water, but what are you not doing? You're not drinking yourself. You get 30, 40, if I don't stop, I'm going to die. But what do? We tell ourselves, I don't have time to take care of me. I got all these other people to take care of. And so those 6 months at the Midnight Mission, I couldn't focus on myself because I knew my kids needed me. When we were at the Dream Center, I couldn't focus on myself because I knew my kids needed me.
Yep.
When I got to California State Prison and I couldn't just walk out of there, it finally clicked. You're going to start focusing on yourself or they're never going to have you. You know what I mean?
It's your last chance, it sounds like, at that point.
To me, bro, my bunkie had 25 to life because he was a third strike loser for residential burglary.
Wow.
Which is the 2 strikes that I have. So it was just like, you know, my kid's mother, God bless her. I love her so much. She is a phenomenal mother. She said, I think you finally realizing that not being a father was on the table scared you into changing. And I say, I think so. You know, one of the things that happened to me there, I was walking around the prison yard because I ask people a lot, what does God want from you?
Yep.
And I hear a lot of answers, a lot of good answers. But they're always based in some type of action that I have to take as far as like being a good person and doing this and doing that. I'm walking around the prison yard and prison ain't a place to cry. But I'm crying, bro, because I'm like, man, all I wanted to do was, like, my mom kept money on the phone. My best friend kept money on the phone. My dad kept money on the phone. And so I could talk to them at all times. But you know who I really wanted to talk to was my kids. But their mom didn't have money to keep on the phone. And so I'm walking and I'm like, God, like, why my kids won't write me, man? I just like, bro, every type of money I would make in prison, I think my biggest pay number was 69 cents an hour. I would go get 1 stick of deodorant. Everything else was like zooms and whams and soups to trade off for paper, stamps. People would write pictures on the envelopes. I wrote my kids every single week. I was constantly trying to establish a connection with them. And so while simultaneously really truly focusing on myself too for the first time.
Yep.
But I heard when I asked God why my kids won't write me, I didn't hear it here, but I heard it here. It's my time now. And it finally clicked. If there's nothing my kids will ever do to stop me from loving them.
Yep.
If they were searching for me, I would never hide myself. And all I've ever wanted from them is for them to want to have a relationship with me. And then it finally clicked. What makes you think God is any different, bro? And I got to see the Father from a whole different lens. I got to see the Father from the lens of being a father.
Yep.
And so I just got really close to the Lord again. And so I got out of prison in 2019. I was technically still incarcerated. I had to wear an ankle monitor. I was in this program called MCRP, Men's Community Release Program. They have like 3 places in LA County. They have one in Long Beach. They have one right across the park in MacArthur Park. And they have another one somewhere. I'm very grateful I didn't make it to MacArthur Park because I don't know if I would have stayed sober. But I made it to Long Beach. This was August of 2019. And I'm in this program. I immediately got in touch with who is now my current sponsor. I knew him from 5 years prior because he could rap, you know, and somebody was like, met us at a meeting, was like, yo, y'all should rap to each other. Somebody that was in prison with me knew both of us. And he was like, yo, so-and-so's killing it right now.
Yeah.
So I got out. I'm like, let me holler at him. I start working the steps. And, you know, that program that I was in, you could have a phone at 30 days. You can go search for work in 60 days, but you had to turn all your paychecks over. And I left that program after 8 months with like $3,000 or $4,000. Got out, went into a sober living in Hollywood. And this was in the middle of COVID, like right at the beginning of COVID. This was like, I got out in April of 2020. I'm in this sober living. I'm talking to my sponsor. I'm working these steps. There are only Zoom meetings available at the time. So I'm going on Zoom meetings. And I just start, bro, it was just so beautiful. I remember I started immediately financially supporting my children. I got like $9,500 back from back pay. Remember when COVID, unemployment was giving like $300 extra a week. And if you apply, by the time you get it, you would get back pay from the day you applied. So by the time I got it, because I had lost my job because of COVID, bro, it was like close to 10 stacks. So I got my first car. I sent my kids in them like $1,500. I paid like $45 down for a car. Sent them $1,500. Put the rest in my bank. And bro, I just started getting to this trajectory. I went to go teach I went to go share my story at a rehab. Came back, started teaching free creative writing groups. And my sponsor was like, yo, you can get paid to teach groups in treatment. And I'm like, really? Now, one thing I'll always do is make it very clear that what I do for 12-step recovery is for free and for fun.
Yep.
In treatment, I teach life skills, you know what I mean? Emotional intelligence, things like that. But yeah, bro, I came out of prison making $60 an hour teaching groups in rehabs.
Oh my God, that's a crazy amount of money hourly.
Yeah, well, it wasn't like, so that's a very nuanced statement though, because it wasn't 40 hours a week.
Yeah, you're not doing 8-hour days, 5 days a week.
Nothing like that. But nonetheless, and if I'm hitting 10, 20 groups a week, that's like $600 to $1,200 a week. I'm able to pay my bills. I'm able to send money back home. And it's just, progress over perfection. You know what I mean? Like, have you ever heard of Atomic Habits?
No.
It's a phenomenal book. And so,
actually, I feel like Reed brought this book up to me, maybe.
Knowing Reed, he probably did. What's up, Reed? Love you, brother. So in Atomic Habits, they have this fire analogy. I wish I'd have made it up because I'm always like, I need to trademark some of these analogies. I be making some
Better
stuff
do
up.
it before the episode drops.
I ain't up for it. So, we're like a 4-hour ride from Vegas, right?
Yep.
Now, if you took an airplane from here to Vegas, that's probably an hour.
Yeah, if even.
If even. Now, if you change the trajectory by 3 degrees, how far side out of Vegas you think we'll land?
Probably pretty far. I don't know.
30, 40 miles maybe? Whatever that distance is, the real point is you took that same plane from here to New York and changed the trajectory by 3 degrees. We're talking completely different states.
Yep.
Because it's the little changes that we make over a long period of time that have the biggest impact to our lives. And so for the first time in my life, I was able to be comfortable with the little bit that I had and realizing that, they used to tell me take it a day at a time. I'm sure you heard that in rehab.
100%.
When I got out, I was like, that's bull crap. Like, I don't have nothing. But the way I trained myself, I used to find little mental hacks to make my days easier.
Yep.
I said, all right, I'm 33 years old. I don't have anything. The last 10 years of my life have flown by. And I can point to some big choices that were bad, certainly. But it was really a bunch of little decisions that stacked on top of each other like compound interest that led me to the place that I was at.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, when I hit 43, these next 10 years are going to have flown by just as fast. If every day I can let little good decisions stack on top of each other, then 10 years from now, my life is just going to be in a better place. And I can say I'm halfway there. And it has been, the last 5 years have been far superior than the rest of my adult life. That's why, like I tell clients, make your bed, dog. It's a cheat code.
Yep.
Making your bed is a cheat code because if you find yourself in rehab, you probably have never been really consistent in anything. And over 30 days, you can say, I made my bed. There's even an old Navy SEAL dude that was like, you want to change the world? Make your bed. So I ended up getting a job as a house manager in Bel Air. That was dope. And so I think that's why I like the Fresh Prince so much. It's like, I didn't have the money to live there, but you can't tell your boy nothing, man. I was
you were.
I was hitting the Pookie in a tent in Skid Row. Now I'm managing a house in Bel Air, bro. And so after 1 year, sorry, I keep coughing.
You're good.
After 1 year of getting out of prison, I got off parole. I was able to move back home. I was able to start taking care of my children.
And your wife still accepted
we
you
were
back
divorced.
home?
No, we were divorced.
Okay.
Backtrack. I got divorce papers in 2018.
Okay. Were you locked up during that?
I was.
Oh, that's got to be so hard.
When you go to prison in California, you go to reception first, which is like 90 days of them figuring out your points.
Yep.
I had enough points to only be on a level 1, but yeah, I did. And I was mad. I was frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't be mad at her. I was a little bit, but I also understood
course.
at the same time, like, you can't wait for me forever. You know what I mean? And so, and this is the reason why I have not been in another relationship since. I think the best way to attract that which you desire is to first become that which you desire.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been out since 2018. I've been out since 2020. I've had 2 circumstances that I got close to a female, and we were like making the attempt of it becoming more. The first one, the 3 things I protect today are my peace, my heart, and my sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the end of the day, if I can't trust you with my heart, that's going to jeopardize my peace. That's going to jeopardize my sobriety. One of the best tools I've been given is playing the tape through. And so I can see these things through now. Not always, thank God I have a sponsor. I have close friends that, I can't see my nose as good as you can,
Yep.
So I need people to throw mirrors up.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was when I moved back home. I liked her a lot. She was really dope. And she was fine. But it was just like after a year, I started realizing some of her decision-making was a little off. And I don't want to say what happened, because if she were to ever see this, she would know I'm talking about her, and I would never put her business out. But long story short, I just was able to pre-see that some of the stuff she had going on might bleed over into my life. And I worked too hard to get back to be a father that I'm not allowing nothing to jeopardize that.
Yeah.
And so I cut that off. And so I do want a wife again one day. I want to be married. I want to wait until I'm married to be intimate, just based off of me being a Christian.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to just give myself to anybody. And I feel like if God has me on a pottery wheel and he's shaping and he's molding me into who he wants me to be, when my dumb butt listens, because my people have been telling me to go to a specific 12-step recovery for food, and I'm still struggling to do that. But if I'm patient, he has somebody else for me. And here's the big part. What if he doesn't? What if I am meant to be single for the rest of my life, just helping his people?
Mm-hmm.
I have to be okay with that, because obviously the way I run my life, I end up in prison. You know what I mean? And so, but if he does have somebody for me and I'm patient, it'll be right. You know what I mean? And so that's why I've been single since. But, I go back home in 2021. I get an apartment for the first time in my life, and having something that's mine with my name on it. She always had the apartments, my wife. So, yeah, man, I got a job as a case manager. One thing you got to know is your worth.
Yep.
This company loved the groups that I ran. I'm very good at running groups.
Yep.
I'm very good at just talking to people. I think my biggest selling point is my authenticity. It's like people could tell that I'm just being authentic with them. I genuinely care about my clients. They know that I genuinely care.
Yep.
And I've just found unique ways to communicate information to them. Something else I've learned how to do is check my intention. It's nothing for me to be like, yo, you're full of it. But is that going to be effective to you? Because where I might tell Johnny he's full of it and he might receive it, me telling that to Rebecca might not work out. And so it's like pitting my ego down and saying, what's my true intention here? Is it to really say something that's going to help you change your life? Or is it so that I can get a sound bite for later? Like, yo, I told you, blah, 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 which does feel good. I ain't gonna lie. But it's just like, what's better for the client? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they loved the groups I was running, and they wanted to hire me full-time as a case manager. And I said, look, I'm going home. They're like, well, it's telehealth. I'm like, shoot it. And they were like, how much do you want? And I was like, throw a number out. They went and looked up how much minimum wage was in West Virginia and offered me like $3 more. They were like $13 an hour. And I was like, you're tripping. I already make $60 an hour teaching
that's
groups
disrespectful.
for you. Like, what? Now, I do understand if you're going to hire me full time, it's not going to be $60 an hour, but I want 30. And they were like, are you serious? I'm like, I'm serious. I really wanted 25. I would have settled for 20. Because at that time,
it's the art of negotiating, though. We're shooting high.
That part. At that time, $20 an hour in West Virginia wouldn't have been that bad. They were like, okay. They come back to me. They're like, is 25 okay? And I was like, No, I want 30. If they would have came back one more time with 25, I would have took it.
Yep.
I was just trying. And they're like, we'll give you $27.50. I'll take it.
Deal.
In a heartbeat. That's
Deal.
$2. Because I'd never expected to get the 30.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, yeah, they gave me that, bro. So I'm going back to West Virginia. I'm making $27.50 an hour. It was all telehealth. I had like a pretty decent schedule. But for the first time in my life, I get to be a father. I get my own apartment. I suit and boot the apartment up for my kids. You know, I got out of prison. My credit was 512. I knocked it up to 690 in 1 year.
Your credit's not that far below mine right now.
It's not that now. It was 512. I knocked it up to 690 in 1 year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I used a Capital One prepaid card.
Okay.
And then I also did Self. Self is fire, bro. It raised my points 100 points in 1 year.
What is that? Like, what
So
is
it's an app that you pick out a loan, but you don't get the money. You say it's like a $500 some dollars. And I paid $48 a month, every month. At the end of the year, you get that money back, minus a fee because it is a service. But every month they report to the credit bureau that you're making on-time payments. After 90 days of making on-time payments, they then give you a secured card worth the amount that you paid into it. And so now you get access to the money. Now you're killing the game on two fronts. They're reporting that you're paying your loan on time. They're also reporting that you're managing the card correctly. And so after 1 year, plus I paid off my car in like 8 months. It was a 2-year lease because I was selling COVID tests at one time and I had got like a $3,500 check and that's all that I needed to pay my car completely off. And I was like, oh, I'm paying my car off.
Yep.
I get back to West Virginia with a 690 credit score, a couple thousand in my pocket, get me an apartment. And so I'm like, man, I get to be a father. And so, you know, my kids are so phenomenal. I'm not going to name them on this podcast.
Yeah, you don't got to air out your kids' identities.
They'll have biblical names, which is dope. Yeah. And so they were just so happy to have me back home. You know what I mean? And I just overextended myself with the credit. I got home, was like, man, I don't want to spend the cash I have. I'm understanding the credit. Let me go get open up a Home Depot account, full circle, a legitimate Home Depot account this time. And so I was able to get their bunk beds and all of that stuff. And for the first, I was home for 4 years. For the first year, everything was kind of smooth. Everything was, but then I started to realize man, I haven't been around these kids in a long time and I've got a little bit of anger issues. Now, I was never violent. I never was like, you're a piece of, I never was that guy, but I would get angry. I would get angry over sometimes the silliest things. I ended up getting a dog, which I was not a great dog owner. I was never abusive to the dog, but I would just get really, really irritated because I would come in. I can understand if I just came in and I haven't been here for 5 hours, the dog gets super excited.
Yeah.
But if I leave out 30 minutes later to go to the store, come back 5 minutes later, and you're just as excited, I'm irritated. But I love that dog, Layla. I definitely could have been a better dog owner. And so I just was trying to be super dad, bro. I was just trying to do everything I could. And I just had a lot more to work on. My sponsor didn't even want me to leave, but it was just man, I'm going back to my kids. And so for 4 years, it was cool. In 2023, I would have had 5 years sober from everything. Now in 2022, my stepdad dies. That did hit me. I didn't think I would care, but it hit me.
Yeah. That was a major figure in your life.
He died on Father's Day too,
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so they found him on a porch, his neighbor's porch. He had a heart attack. And so me and my brother comes up from Orlando and we're taking care of everything. And so 2023, I would have had 5 years sober from everything, but I was gaining a lot of weight. And at that time, I was maybe 300 pounds. And so my sponsor then was like, yo, maybe you transferred addictions. Why don't we get you some help? So I found an eating disorder facility in Chicago. Now, my job knew I was going. And I had the PTO and I had the sick leave. My dumb butt thought FMLA leave was just for pregnant women. I really did, bro. I'd never heard it in any other context. I thought that's just what pregnant women did. 3 days before I'm supposed to leave, my job fired me.
No.
Out of nowhere. Yeah. And they wouldn't explain to me why. They were like, we're in at-risk state. And I'm like, at will state.
Yeah.
And I'm like, tell me something, bro. So I go from making $5,000 a month to making nothing.
And you're about to go back into treatment.
Yeah, and I'm about to go back into treatment. Not for drugs and alcohol, thank God.
Uh-huh.
You know, because August 28, 2023, I would have been 5 years completely sober from everything. So I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I still went to, you know, the treatment center. I was in college at the time. In 2022, November, I got invited to be I got invited to a National Leadership Academy, and they gave me funding. This Keep Your Crown On is something I started developing in prison because in Skid Row, even when I was getting loaded, I would tell people, keep your crown on, king, keep your crown on, queen. And I've always been a pretty conscious dude. So a lot of times I'm like, yo, what's up, king? Yo, what's up, queen? I got to jail and I drew this symbol up. Now, my daughter painted this one. And when she was, I don't know, she's 16 now. She probably did this at 12 or 13. I promised her this will forever be the main logo. So me and her are thinking about starting a podcast. And if we have this in there, that this will be the thing. But nonetheless, in prison, when I started learning about emotional intelligence, and I developed this thing called the forgiveness practice. And when I got out, I started developing a lot. Like, I've developed curriculums for rehab.
Yeah.
Not like I sold it to them, but like I used it when I taught. And it was all about like teaching people how to keep your crown on, what that means. And so I go to the eating disorder facility in Chicago. Oh yeah, the reason I was in the National Leadership Academy, it was called the SAFE Project. It was about ending overdoses on campuses.
Yep.
So they sent us to DC for free and gave us funding to start a program on campus. So those videos that I sent you of me teaching at Bridge Valley, the one with SpongeBob and stuff like that, that's kind of what you see. That's like what I do in rehabs too. And so I put the Keep Your Crown On project on Bridge Valley's campus. And it was just dope at life, bro. Like, you know, a couple years prior to that, bro, I'm smoking dope in MacArthur Park. And now I'm like in college, back home with my kids, being a father.
Yeah.
And so
it's a complete 180.
Complete, bro. And so I go to that eating disorder facility in Chicago. I got to go to your place. You know
Let's
what I mean?
go. Best city in the world.
I mean, Chicago's fire. I am a Green Bay. I am a Green Bay fan.
Oh God!
Yeah,
what the?
Yeah,
Dude, it was going so good.
I know
it was going so good.
I should have brought you a Green Bay something, bro.
Oh, please,
if
no,
I would have
dude.
known you were a Chicago fan, I would.
Oh God, dude, it wouldn't have stayed under this roof very long, dude.
That part. I tried the Chicago dog.
Okay.
Now, the caveat to that is I went to Millennial Park to get one. I understand.
Okay.
You got to go to a real place. Not
Chicago dog's Chicago dog, though, so that's okay.
It was cool. You just have to understand, in West Virginia, our two biggest food staples. One are pepperoni rolls.
Okay.
You know what that is?
Like a Hot Pocket, or?
Essentially, kind of. So it started in, I want to say, Fairmont in the, I don't know, 20s, 30s, or 40s. I don't know. But anyway, and I think even like Italian immigrants started it. I'm not sure. But it was just men would get cheese and pepperoni and bread when they were in the coal mines. And so somebody thought, let's put it together. And so they would bake cheese and pepperoni within bread. And we used to have them in school. Like, that was part of school lunch sometimes. And
sounds fire, honestly.
School pepperoni rolls were fire. I didn't know it wasn't a thing outside of West Virginia until I'm in LA one time and I'm like, yo, was y'all school pepperonis good? Like, what's a pepperoni roll? And the other food item is hot dogs. But specifically, we put chili and coleslaw on our hot dogs. Now, there's an age-old argument in West Virginia. Now, there's a part of the state where you go northern part, they don't put coleslaw in their hot dogs.
Okay. But they put the chili, though?
They put the chili.
Okay.
And they call it chili sauce.
Interesting.
We, in the southern part of West Virginia, and I'm sure there may be people in the comments that will argue, I might not be right, but from my understanding, we just call it chili. And we put chili, coleslaw, and onions on our hot dogs. Now, there's another argument, and I know that in Chicago, they're like, you don't put ketchup on a hot dog.
No, nuh-uh.
Excuse me. That's the argument in West Virginia, too.
Okay.
They'll say that a West Virginia dog is chili, coleslaw, mustard, and onions. Now, have you ever had chili and coleslaw on a hot dog?
I've had plenty of chili dogs, but I've never had chili and coleslaw on one.
Bro, it's phenomenal.
It actually sounds pretty good.
It is fire. But we also like pulled pork sandwich. We put coleslaw on it.
Yep.
Manwich is not sloppy Joe. It is not sloppy Joe. I hate when people say that. Manwich is manwich.
Okay.
But my mom made homemade sloppy Joes with like ground meat, green peppers, brown sugar, mustard, onions, barbecue sauce.
I haven't had a sloppy Joe in so long, bro.
And then we put coleslaw on that too. Now, me on my hot dog back home, I'm putting chili, coleslaw, ketchup, mustard, hot sauce, onions, and a bunch of pepper to me. But nonetheless, yeah. I don't even know how we got into the food conversation.
We were talking about how you had gone to Chicago for treatment and you had to try a dog while you were there.
I did try the Chicago dog. It was cool. I went to my home group has a sister home group out there, and I found that, and they took me to a sober party, and they took all the toppings from a Chicago dog, the celery salt, the sports peppers, the tomato. They chopped it all up into a relish.
Ooh.
And they put that in that, my friend, was fire.
That sounds good, actually.
I put that on a burger. See, I'm a big burger friend. Like, I've been wanting to do a food review channel for a long time. And I watch a couple different people. Like the LA Try Guy is probably my favorite. I'm a burger fanatic.
Okay.
I mean,
you're in a good city for it, dude.
Fire burgers. One thing I can't stand in California, though, is everybody's like, try my special sauce, and it's all just Thousand Island.
Yeah, literally, it's like some of them put a little Chipotle in it.
Bro, if it's not In-N-Out or a Big Mac, I don't want it. You know, I want just ketchup and mayonnaise. But, bro, Smack Burger off the 10 on Western.
Okay.
I think they're from Oakland.
I'm going to write this down.
I think they're from Oakland. Bro, it's
Smack Burger off the 10.
On Western. It's a black and yellow building. They just changed their hours, too. They used to be closed at 8 throughout weekdays, open till 11. Now they're just like Wednesday through Sunday, open 8 o'clock. They're closed at 8. But, bro, their jalapeno burger.
Ooh.
2 smashed patties, which I think smashed burgers are overrated, to be honest with you. But I do love them because they're burgers. It's like I love you by nature. 2 smashed patties, grilled onions, which I prefer raw, but they're still good. There's Smack sauce, which is a Thousand Island base, but it is actually really good sauce. Like heavy-handed sauce is good too. Pepper jack cheese, fresh sliced jalapenos, not pickled.
Yeah.
Bacon, 2 onion rings, and then they drizzle it with Mike's Hot Honey. It is the greatest burger I've ever had in my life.
That sounds colossal,
bro. It does. But it works, bro, and it's so uniquely done, and it's like this, but it's not a lot. I don't know how to explain it. It's perfection in a wrap, bro. It's fire.
Damn,
bro.
I gotta go there.
It's fire.
I gotta fucking
and
go
you
there.
can get their Smack fries and just tell them dress it up like a jalapeno. You know what I mean? Because I'm weird, bro. Like I have to have something crunchy with my burger. Like I always want some chips or some fries.
I feel
or something.
that.
Downtown Burger Bar, in between Broadway and Spring on 6th. It's my second favorite burger in the city. So I'll give you a quick top 5. I'm going to have to say number 1 is In-N-Out.
All right.
It's hard to beat In-N-Out's prices, bro. And
yeah, it's like $5 for a burger.
Yeah, and you know, 12. I just went there before I came here. $12 burger combo, you're in the game. That Smack Burger, D-Town Burger Bar, The Window. Have you had The Window?
No, but I've heard of this place.
It used to just be on Rose in Venice. Then they opened one on the Strip in Venice as well, on the beach.
Now they're TikTok.
Now they're like on the Grove. There's one in Silver Lake, and I live in Echo Park, so I'm right there. It's $7 double cheeseburger, bro, and it is fire. So In-N-Out, Smack Burger, The Window, D-Town Burger Bar. I had to go heavy-handed. Heavy-handed is fire.
You ever had Hi-Ho?
Hi-Ho's cool.
I like Hi-Ho.
Hi-Ho's cool. I like Hi-Ho. Their pastrami burger's fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, their pastrami burger's fire.
That shit is bomb.
Johnny Pastrami on Adams, their pastrami burger is fire.
Damn, you're putting me on right now.
Bro, we can talk about food all day, obviously.
You're telling me, dude.
Bro,
you're telling me.
Obviously. So the only that's my favorite food of all time, bro. If I can only have one food for the rest of my life, it would be burgers. Then it would probably be just like country cooking, soul food, and then Mediterranean. Like I love Mediterranean.
Interesting.
Food. Like Zankou, you had Zankou? Zankou's chicken?
Oh, I thought you were like naming a certain kind of food. I was like, what the f is Zankou? But yeah, that's really close to here.
Yeah, they got a bunch of them. I love Zankou. Zankou's fire. I
Place
love hummus, all that stuff. But yeah, I'm in this eating disorder facility, bro. And they wrote me a script of naltrexone.
Contrast of us spending 10 minutes talking about burgers, and you're like, so anyways, I'm at this eating disorder facility.
Bro,
Continue though.
if I had to pick between burgers and sex for the rest of my life,
We got burgers.
I got burgers, bro. Give me the burgers, bro.
Also, Burger 3000 gets an honorable shout from me.
Bro, I've
place
been
fire.
wanting to go. Hey, there's a place up here in the valley called Mike's Cafe
Okay.
with a Y. The Mike name is spelled. They have a Snickers burger.
Like they put a Snickers bar on it?
No, hear me out. I think what they do, I'm pretty sure what they do, is they grind up the beef,
Okay.
the bacon, and they take maybe Snickers crumbles. Like, you know how you can get it for like ice cream nowadays?
Yeah.
They put it all on a patty. They cook it. They put it on a bun. They put a thinly sliced green apple. Then they put a honey habanero aioli. And when you bite into this burger, you're like, oh my lands, what just happened? Now after 2 bites, I took the apple off. It was too much for me. And by the end of the sandwich, you're like, bro, I would definitely have this again. This is fire. And it just blows your mind. Like, if you're
trying to like picture this and I can't.
Oh,
even.
bro, just fall asleep and have a dream and it will be there because
So
it's
the
that
Snickers
good.
is in the patty.
It's in the patty.
What?
Bro, it's so dope, bro. Now, by the last bite, you're like, okay, this isn't something I can do all the time.
Oh yeah.
It
I'd
starts
imagine.
to wear off on you, but it's something. If I did a food review channel, there would be a simple 3 score. Would I have it again? Would I never have it again? Would I go out of my way to get it? That's all it is, bro. It's like, that's all it is. You know what I mean?
Dude, I feel like you should do like a burger specific food channel.
Oh, bro, that would be fun. I wanted to do something called Burgers and Bars, where I'd like sit in my car and eat new burgers while listening to new rap bars and rate both of them at the same time. That would be fire.
We should bleep that so no one steals your idea.
They can have it. I also wanted
It's
to
very
do
generous.
I wanted to do Uber Lyft. Oh no, it was called Uber tie and lift strings.
Okay.
So I was going to develop an app that anytime you wanted your shoes tied, you can just hit up Uber tie or lift strings and someone can come tie your shoes for you.
You think people are going to be using that?
Nah, it was a parody app. I was really high one day and I was telling my best friend when I told her I could probably survive on a deserted island by myself 30% longer than the average person. Not because I have any other skills other than just keeping myself entertained. Like, I can I can freestyle, I can do comedy. They said I should do stand-up comedy, but I'm only funny when I sit down.
Yeah.
I can do monologues. I can just keep myself entertained. But back to the eating disorder facility in the Chicago Dogs. They had given me naltrexone and Lexapro.
Okay.
Bro, I felt like I was on a heroin high.
I was going to say, I've heard horrible things about Lexapro.
I didn't like it, bro. And so when I got back home, I did realize I had some underlying level of anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started smoking CBD, which everybody says it doesn't get you high.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go 5 years with nothing that affects you from the neck up and you hit some CBD, you're getting a head change.
Were you smoking like CBD flower or like
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. All that shit still has trace amounts of THC in
course.
it. Yeah.
And anytime I get high, the first thing I want to do is rap. I just want to get high and freestyle. Like, I've gotten high with plenty of people, and I'm like, look, bro, if you don't want to hear me rap for 2 hours, you can leave after we smoke. But I'm gonna rap, I'm gonna smoke, and we're gonna rap. I'm gonna just want to rap.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah. And then it went from that to Delta 9 to me getting my medical marijuana card, and now I'm smoking weed again. And at first it was okay, but I have an allergy to this stuff, bro. It doesn't stop there.
Yep.
So then I drink, and then I do shrooms. And then come Christmas of 2023, I didn't even have to go back to meth to be a thief because everything my kids got for Christmas that year, I stole it for them. And then January of 2024, I took some shrooms, about 2 grams, and I, for the first time in my life, have a bad trip on psychedelics. Because I've done shrooms more than a couple times.
Tell me about that trip.
I don't know, bro. 2 months prior, I did some shrooms and like 1.7.
Mm-hmm.
And I think these 2 grams were penis envy. I'm not sure.
Yep.
Which are some of the strongest you can get.
Yep. Those hit.
And so the first one time I did it, at that time, because I'd done it years before, I just was in my room, bro. I waited till my kids were gone. I dropped them off at their mom's, just like I normally did.
Mm-hmm.
And because I didn't do stuff like that around my kids. And so I didn't smoke weed around my kids. First, didn't even want to be high around them. And it's very easy to see when I'm high because I'm like,
It's all over your face.
I'm cheesing, I'm laughing, I'm rapping. It's just
Yeah.
like my whole energy changes. And so it's like Jekyll and Hyde.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go in my room, I throw on some psychedelic stuff. I'm really, really into music. People that say they can live without music, I don't trust them. I don't trust people that say they don't like chocolate because I don't believe them. I think they're liars.
Milk or dark chocolate?
Either. I don't care.
Okay.
You can have either.
You don't discriminate.
I like them both, bro.
Okay.
I like burgers and chocolate. And so chocolate burger. Snickers burger. But nonetheless, you know, I just threw on some music with some psychedelic sights, and bro, that first time it was cool, bro. It was like a little bit of an out-of-body experience, nothing crazy. But that second time, bro, I've never experienced fear like that in my life. It was just like an ever-impending doom. And I'm jumping up and screaming, crying, begging for it to stop, bro. I didn't see nothing. I never really saw stuff on psychedelics. On meth, I never saw shadow people, which a lot of people, I don't know if you've ever heard of shadow people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Benadryl brings them out, too.
Yeah. And so I'm on my sister's like a hippie. I love her to death, but she's like more hippie-ish, you know? She messes with that stuff. And her and her boyfriend are just calming me down on the phone, and it finally subsided. And then April 15th, 2024, I'm at the dog park with my dog. I'm rolling up joints. And I just started crying, bro. And I was just like, God, like, I need your help. Like, I cannot foresee where this is all going to go, but it's not going to end up good. And once again, I didn't hear it here, but I heard it here. If you want my help, throw that stuff across the aisle. So I took all the weed. I took the raw paper tray I had. Took my grinder. I took all of that stuff. I kept it all in a neat little box, and I threw it over the hill. And so now April 16th, 2024 is my new sobriety date. So in April of this year, I'll have 2 years again sober from weed and alcohol and shrooms. I still have 8 years removed from meth. And it's a tough one, you know, because I think treatment centers sometimes water down the language. Like they'll say, well, you didn't have a relapse, you had a lapse. In my opinion, if you go for a period of time with nothing that affects you from the neck up, then you take something that affects you from the neck up. It's not just a lapse. It's a full relapse. Now, it's better that you drank one night, came back to treatment, told them the truth. Cool. That's better than going on a 9-month bender. But something led you back there. And there's different forms of recovery for different people. I definitely ascribe to the 12-step method. I definitely ascribe to full abstinence. Some people can go from a gnarly fentanyl addiction and then get sober, and after a couple of years, they can go back to drinking and smoking weed, and it doesn't tear their life down. I don't think most hardcore addicts can do that. I think abstinence is the best. But look, my opinions do not have a monopoly of sobriety. 12-step recovery does not have a monopoly on sobriety. I definitely believe rarely have we seen a person fail who has followed our path. But something I tell my clients is like, look, bro, I don't care what you do. As long as you can get your kids back, you can start taking care of yourself, your life improves, and hopefully you start being of service to other people. I don't care what method you use, you know? And so I started my sobriety over. One of the greatest things I learned when I did my 5th step with my sponsor again, I did it with another person. He said, I got some new math for you. I said, okay. He said, if you're not the problem, there is no solution. I was like, that's bull crap. What are you talking about? He said, just chew on it, bro. And I started chewing on it, and I'm like, man, looking over my life again. And I'm like, because I'd already did a 4th and a 5th before. I'm like, man, it doesn't mean that I'm quite literally the problem in every situation. Now, if I'm having the same problems with multiple people, I'm the problem. It's common denominator. But if there's not a solution I can find in my own actions, then there is no solution. Because I cannot control you. 100%. I cannot change you. And 90% of my perspective, that's where the problem lies. And so, man, it's so beautiful to be able to tell clients that nowadays. Like, I'll tell you a circumstance where I had to really practice that. I had a situation going on health-wise. Recognized it on a Saturday evening. I had 2 days off after that, Sunday and Monday. And so this was years ago. And so instead of going to the emergency room or the ER or Med Express on my day off, I waited till Tuesday when I was working. And I ended up having to miss a part of the day. My boss was like, well, just let that other person know that you're not going to be there. I go, they both are from a different place and they speak a certain language.
Okay.
I get a text from that person in their language. And I'm like, oh, he don't realize he texted me. So I immediately copy it and paste it into ChatGPT. And it was like, why does this idiot keep missing my groups? I get mad, right? I go put them both in a text thread. I copy and paste it. I screenshot, put it there. I'm like, it's very unbecoming of you, let alone to text the idiot you're referring to. He calls me back, man, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. She calls me back like, look, you need to go look, Google Translate, see what that means. And it did. It was a different saying, it means both, how words are very, it's all contextual and nuanced. Nonetheless, if I'm not the problem, there is no solution. I could have taken care of that on the day I was off. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he really didn't. The only thing he did wrong was text the wrong person, because I talk trash behind people's back. I might be willing to say it to your face, but if me and you may be tight, I might be at work and vent to you,
It's kind of human nature.
It's human nature, bro.
Yep.
And so I really am trying to look through the lens of if I'm not the problem, there is no solution. Yeah, what happened to me as a child was messed up, and I didn't have a part to play in that, and I didn't choose to be born in that family. And after that, I made the decisions I made. So I can sit here and cry about my childhood all I want, or I can make better decisions. And at the end of the day, I'm so grateful for every experience that I've ever had, because it has led me to some places where I am able to encourage people in a way that, had I not had those experiences, I wouldn't be able to help them. So, I started my sobriety over. I moved back out here in March after the Matt Cox podcast. I was like, man, if I'm really going to make something happen with podcasting, with motivational speaking, with really taking my life to another level so that my children can have a better life, I'm not going to be able to do it from West Virginia.
Yep.
I love West Virginia. I don't love living there. And that's not a slight to West Virginia. I grew up in a very small place. I got to experience Los Angeles for 7 years. I totally missed Los Angeles. So I moved back out here in March. And one of the last things I like to share, I said earlier that the only difference between people that cannot stay sober through difficult times and the people that can are the tools that we learn to develop. In May of last year, I was teaching a group in San Juan Capistrano, and I've got like 20 clients in front of me. 10 minutes prior to this group being started, my brother, who lived in Orlando with my mom, calls me. And he's screaming and he's crying. He's like, yo, they found mama on the back porch. They're trying to revive her. I'm like, all right, just let me know. And about 20 minutes into me teaching that group, I get the phone call that my mom dies. And so this isn't just a woman that raised me, bro. This is a woman that for a large part of my life, I viewed her as a little girl, someone I had to protect. This is the woman who set me in that car and was like, yo, like, if people don't like you, it's probably their fault. You're a phenomenal person. And so I go off into the bathroom and I am breaking down. I'm crying. I come back out. I'm trying to get it together. I'm pretty transparent with my clients and vulnerable with them because I asked them to be. But I'm also a professional, so I normally wouldn't have shared that with them at that moment, maybe later. But they see that I'm breaking down. And so I'm like, look, my mom just passed away. And they're like, man, you can leave. And I said, look, I will grieve when I leave. I came to give you quality work. I'm going to continue to give you quality work. Number one thing is I don't have to relapse over this. I went to Orlando, handled the stuff with my mom, with my brother. I came back 2 weeks later. They looked at me and said, man, us watching how you handled that situation taught us more than any group we've ever been in. And to me, that is the joy, that is the benefit, those are the rewards I get today. That I can take the deepest, darkest, most traumatic filled parts of my life and utilize it to help another human being. That makes it all worth it.
I love that. I got to say, that was a beautiful way to end it, I think.
For sure.
I have two questions for you before we wrap up here. First and foremost, for everyone watching this at home that for some reason hasn't decided to follow you yet until now, and they hopefully do so, how can everyone find your upcoming podcast or find you on social media?
Instagram, Keep your crown on 116. 116 meaning Romans 1:16. I'm not ashamed of the gospel. Yeah, that's the main platform that I use. And then you can find me on Facebook at Jimmy Duh Poet Nichols.
Nice.
But yeah.
We'll have links to all those below as well, so you guys can just scroll down and click. And the last question I have, which I'd argue is probably the most important one I'll end up asking today, is, knowing my audience, I know the majority of these people are young addicts. The vast majority of my audience are, college-age kids. A lot of them are addicts, and a lot of them are probably in a place that it sounds like you once were in your life. A lot of these people that listen to this episode probably relate pretty heavily to some of the stuff you shared today. And for someone out there who's watching this who feels kind of lost, feels like they can't get clean or they can't get their shit back together, what wisdom would you pass on to them?
So something I tell my clients, right, when they first get the treatment, I'm like, look, you really just have to ask yourself a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
One, do you really want to be sober? And if you don't, it's okay. Just be honest about it. There's parts of our literature that says even those with severe mental and emotional disorders can get this thing if they have the capacity to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So being honest about it looks like telling somebody like, yo, I don't want to be sober now, or I can't see myself sober for the rest of my life. And this is why I don't think having a desire is the number one prerequisite. I've seen people come in for lots of reasons. They wanted 3 hots and a cot. They were running from the cops, whatever. They hear something change their life. So the number one is, do you want to be sober? If you don't, it's okay. Just be honest about it. Number 2, where you want your life to lead or where you claim you want your life to lead, can you get there using drugs and alcohol?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can, I say go for it. Smoke all the meth you want. If you can smoke meth and take care of your future, do it. Who's to stop you?
People don't do drugs because they suck.
That part. Other question is, does anybody who uses the way you do have the type of life you want? And if you can say no to those questions, then the most important question is, what are you going to do to change it? Because at the end of the day, there are going to be college kids that smoke some weed, drink some beer.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really alcoholics and addicts, bro. They might have had a problem with drugs and alcohol, but there's a difference between having a problem with drugs and alcohol becoming your solution.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're finding yourself in shoes like mine were, definitely reach out to me. You can call me. You can text me on Instagram. I will respond, and I will do everything I can to help you. But ultimately, if you're finding that drugs and alcohol have become a solution for you, you're going to also find eventually that it's not going to keep working. And when it's not working, 12-step recovery is always available. I would say definitely hit up some meetings. Find somebody that has the life you want in recovery. My sponsor is so dope, and he went from being in a wheelchair, going to 10 meetings a week on a bus, to now 13 years later, like 3 kids in, owns like companies, and like still helps a lot of people. So it is possible, but you just got to be surrounded by people that have lives that you would like who are also sober. 100%. I hope all that makes sense.
No, it did. I think it was great. Yeah, it's important who you surround yourself with.
1000%. Iron sharpen iron. So if you chill with 9 broke people, you're gonna be the 10th. That part.
You're good with analogies.
A little bit.
You're good with those. You're good with those. It's the poetry coming out.
That part. That part.
Well, everyone at home who watched this episode all the way to completion, first and foremost, thank you very much for watching all the way through. We always appreciate it here, of course. Episode 102 in the books. I highly suggest all you guys go support Jimmy, follow him on all his platforms, keep up with him, and maybe hopefully we'll see you back on here in the future at some point.
Game.
Thank you so much for coming on, dude. I appreciate it, Jimmy.
For sure.
And thank you all for watching. Drop a like, drop a sub, go get Jimmy's follower count up, and we'll see y'all in 103. Peace out, everybody.
You're now watching the Gobcast. Viewer discretion is advised.
You are a guy who has been shot through the liver, addicted to all sorts of drugs, homeless on Skid Row, going to LA County Jail.
If I get involved, it gets violent. Like, yo, what you looking at?
Mm-hmm.
He came up, we started arguing. We're at a school bus stop. So it was technically a school shooting. Growing up, my mom and dad so dope. did dope. They sold a lot of meth and they did a lot of meth. You've got your wife and 4 kids in Skid Row? And I went to a sober living over by USC. They kicked me out because they found me knocked out on the toilet, butt naked with a pookie.